All right, guys, welcome back to the 24 Down podcast. We are here for episode 22. We are in the 20s. We are well into the 20s now. So, episode 22. And first off, I want to bring in my co host for this episode, Wolfie. How's it going, Wolfie?
Hey, good man.
Good. It's good to have you back on here. Wolfie's been doing a lot of really good, important work, getting guests lined up, hunting people down, things of that nature. So I appreciate it, Wolfie. And our guests, plural, are Michael and Raquel Wilson. We've got the first ever duo on the podcast, and I know Wolfie and I are both really excited about this episode. So, how you guys doing?
Good.
Doing great.
We're good.
So, this is something that I've been trying to do more lately. Is before we get into catching us up on what your life has been, real quick, give us like a recap of what years you were at Valley Forge, if you can remember.
So I was at Valley Forge fall 2005 to spring 2009, right?
Yeah, and I was 2000 fall to spring of 2006. I was only there for 1 year.
Cool.
But
She graduated. I also graduated. I did 4 years in 1 year. So
that's impressive. I mean,
they don't acknowledge it though. So it's like getting your transcripts. It's like I got like a $5 fine for a missed chapel or something. So I can't graduate.
Oh.
well, I mean, your 4 years in one year is better than my 0 years in 3.5 years.
Right.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will just jump in. We're gonna let you guys take over and give us an overview on what your life has been post Valley Forge, post 24 Down, all that kind of stuff. So, as long as you guys want to go short, whatever, you guys have the floor to take it away.
You want to start or me?
Go for it. I'll jump in.
You'll jump in. All right. So like our story, I guess, as a couple kind of started while Raquel was still at Valley Forge. It would have been her junior year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pretty much. And she was going through a bad breakup, and I was kind of there to like be like, hey, whatever. And it's kind of like,
He sucked anyway.
kind of liked you, and like kind of told her like, yo, that guy was totally trash. Like many times. I think Wolfie was there for some of those times where I was like, yo, like, come on now. And she didn't listen to me. She still kind of doesn't listen to me. So, we started dating really, it was your going into your senior year.
Mm-hmm. June of, going into my senior
Going
year.
into your senior year is when we started dating. It would have been that summer. And then we were engaged sometime in that fall, like I think October.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got married after she like walked but didn't graduate because Valley Forge was like, yo, you still owe us some credits. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. So I guess we got to do these Bible courses to like actually get your degree, even though you already walked. And that was over the summer. And then we got married in June. And like, I don't know how, like,
Hell happened.
yeah. So like we get back
It was
from our
crazy.
honeymoon, and I had a really good job. Like at that point, like things were kind of like lining up for me. And we get back from our honeymoon, and my job is like, hey, good news is you have a job here, but bad news is you need to relocate to Pittsburgh. And I was like, well, I don't really want to go to the other side of the state, but let's see what happens. And we go out there, and it just really wasn't working for us. We were praying, trying to find out like, what are we supposed to be doing right now? And in the meantime, Raquel got a job here on this side of Pennsylvania in Chester County. So we were actually only married for like 2 months, and then we were already like apart again. Like I was in Pittsburgh living and working, and she was here in Chester County living and working in our apartment that we, set up, and was like, oh, this is our home, not really. Michael's away. And that was like our first like 4 months of being married. Then that took us basically up until sometime in about November, when your parents ended up divorcing. So like basically there's like Raquel's world and everything, comes crashing in around her in the time where like, we're just trying to get our little family up and running, and things aren't going well already because we're not even living together. And now what she has kind of had as a base, as a place where she can, build from is like, oh, that's all been basically a lie, like my whole life. And so that was awful for her. So then I finally decide I'm not going to move to Pittsburgh, and I'm going to give up this job. And I come home on a Friday, I remember this. And then on a Sunday, we find out that we were pregnant with Liam. So now my identity as being a man that is going to provide, and I have a good job, and this job is going to be, whatever. There's guys that, they retire with a 401k with, $1 million plus in their 401k because the company match is ridiculous. And now all that's out the window. I'm not a provider, and now I have a family that I don't have any money to support with, and her family's, going down the tubes, all like in the first about 6 months of us getting married. And that was pretty wild to start. And we really had to cling to God and to what he had for us. And was it each other, like it's real questions. It's like, are we going to stay together through this, or are we going to allow all of these things to be like, hey, let's just throw in the towel, everything's awful, and by the grace of God, we stayed together, and we worked through all of these things, and there's been many more things since then, but I don't think anything was as worse as our first year together. It was
No, because,
really awful.
So many people tell you, and you both know, and anybody who is going into a marriage, you don't fight about money, and you don't fight about family, and definitely don't talk about politics. No, I'm just kidding. But, you don't, like, those are things
Messenger Kids video.
You are trying to like, not like, that shouldn't be the center, but yet here we are, like we lost a huge monetary, job for Michael. I mean, and I made not even a quarter of what he was making with a 4-year degree, by the way. And, and he, I'm making a quarter of that. And then my parents, divorce, and my mom moves to Minnesota, and we are just all kind of like trying to deal with that, and all of it. And he can't talk about my family because he's trying to be respectful to me, and I need a person to vent to, yet I don't want to talk to him about it because I don't want him to get mad and defensive, and all of that. And then we have this new little like seed and baby that we have to think about, and we didn't really even want to think about until 3 to 4 years down the line. And it was just, I mean, it shook us deeply. It shook us, and but it brought us back to a core and to a togetherness that really we just base our marriage on. Now, I mean, we were so deeply in love before, but then seeing each other in this moment of desperation and reliance on the Lord, it just kind of brought us to a different level very quickly.
Yeah, like we had to, or we were going to break. Like we weren't going to make it through that.
So that was that. And then, basically since then we have, I worked with the county or Chester County for like 2 years. Michael went back to school
Yeah.
and got his mechanics like I don't-
Mechanics, nothing. I got a piece of paper. I went to
Certificate.
UTI, same
Oh,
thing that
which-
actually Samsung went to.
Yeah.
So I went there and graduated through their program, and got a job for a little while as a mechanic. And then one of my high school buddies actually married into a family that owns a propane business, and I got a job there, and I've been there for the last like 10 years. So
Yeah. And so in between that, I stopped working for the county. I was a stay-at-home mom. We literally ate boxed pasta, and it was a treat to get a $1 pizza because we were really poor.
yeah,
really poor.
it was
Like,
rough times. Like
really rough times.
like when I was working at the mechanic shop for a little bit and you weren't working, it was really rough.
And it was like those stories that like everybody, like you kind of wanted those stories, like in a sense to like
I
God to
didn't.
show up like in a time of like desperation. And like we had that, like we were so broke poor. And yet we would have groceries like put on our doorstep, which was crazy. And it was so humbling. I mean, really humbling, because at some point, like the government, like we made too much to like qualify for anything, anything beneficial from the government, but like not enough to actually survive because, you know, student loans. And so we were it was just crazy. And then we were at Michael's parents' church for like 8 years, 9.
well, we were there the whole time.
Michael was the worship pastor and an elder at the church. But it just like the numbers, we went from like 200, 2 services, 200 people down to like 20 at some point. Like at the end, there were like maybe 20 people who were there, and it was just devastating. And so we ended up closing the doors there about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's probably like 2
And
years ago.
2 years ago, we closed the doors of the church and we started going to another church locally. So we live in New Holland, but we were traveling about 20 minutes towards like Gap, well, in Chester County, where Michael's parents lived. And we were there, going to church there and doing ministry full time pretty much. And Michael was working full time and doing ministry full time, and it was exhausting and just, we were so burnt out, and yet we were so needed. So we just kept doing it. But
it was like everything. It was like, okay, well, like, yeah, it's, you know, if you need a Sunday off, that's fine. But like, we'll probably just have to play like a CD or something. It's like,
okay, well, now you feel guilty.
oh, okay, I'll be there even though my wife's having a baby. I'm like,
It was like real, you know, we were like really tight there at the church. And so then we moved, and it was freedom. Like we grew so much because we were under Michael's parents. So our identity was kind of shook in a way, in a sense, where we were like, well, where are we going to fit in a church? Yet, you know, doors just kept opening. And so we're actually at Petra under Brian and Tracy Coles, which is just insane. Just insane, honestly.
it's crazy. Yeah.
I can't even believe it. But so anyway, which is just crazy. So it's all, I mean, it's happy. But I don't know. Can you guys just say something so we can make sure that we can hear you?
Yeah, we're still here. So
Yep.
we keep ourselves muted while you're talking. That way
We're so old. We don't know how this works.
Please.
Sorry.
We're like ancient. I keep telling my kids, they're like, how old are you, Daddy? I'm like 85.
So
That's fair.
I'll pull back the curtain a little bit here for those listening that have not come on the podcast yet, and I'll give you a little Zoom tip. Zoom is actually very, very good for audio settings, but the way things work is if people are talking at the same time, it's gonna pick one of those and overpower everything. So
Oh.
usually like what we do is if somebody's talking, we mute out, and then that way our mics don't pick up stuff. So
Right.
That would laugh loudly randomly. It doesn't override what they're saying. Yeah.
right. Right.
Or like if you're really like gassy, sometimes it's just
Yeah.
good to put yourself on mute.
Well, I don't know how to mute, so if I fart really loud, I'm so sorry.
Well, the guests do not have to go on mute ever, because we always want to hear what the guests have to say, or
Yeah.
any
Or-
bodily
Yeah.
movements. It's
Whatever you say, either end, we want to hear it.
So
So-
funny.
So I want to. I guess I'm sure Wolfie's got some things too he wants to bring up. But some of the things I want to bring up from you catching up and everything like that. Man, like going through what you guys went through those first few months. If you guys can get through that at such an early time, like, in my opinion, there's nothing that you guys can't get through. And I don't think I had any doubt of that anyway, but like that really shows like the strength of your guys' bond and the willingness to do whatever it takes to get through what you need to get through, while keeping your focus on God and while keeping your focus on family and everything like that. So I think that's really, really commendable of you guys. The the other thing, and this is just kind of a little bit like side story here, so I'm going to kind of like go off topic here just a little bit, and then I'll let Wolfie say what he wants to say. So like I didn't really know Michael because he was there the year before I came. But like Raquel and I were very close throughout our college years. Like I would say hands down, Raquel was one of my best friends. I can't tell you how many times she probably saw me cry over some girl and whatever. So Raquel was always there for me, and we had this just very, very special bond. And what I recall is Raquel did not necessarily always have the best taste in guys either. So
Awful.
yeah. So
Really?
I remember like being there for her for some of the stuff. And I remember at one point, and I can't pinpoint exactly when it was, but like she told me about, hey, there's this guy, Michael. I started, seeing. We used to be friends, or he used to go here, all this kind of stuff. And I could hear a difference in the way she was talking about you versus any of the other guys that she would have talked about prior. And I was like, okay, like there's something here, like for sure. And I think maybe I had met you once or twice, like shortly after that. But man, like it was for me, like being as close of friends as I was with Raquel, like it was very evident to me at first too. I was like, okay, like this is something real. And then like I do like vaguely recall that stuff that you guys went through. And man, again, I can't give you guys enough credit and give you guys enough props for not only like going through that, but like coming out even stronger. So
It's so true though. Like we were saying, I mean, it was so funny because I think I remember like we were really close, Hat. And I remember being like, oh, Hat. He likes Tool. Like, do you like that band? Like, is that good? And I remember being like so excited to like bring something silly because, anyone who knows me, I don't listen to music. Like I prefer muted in the car. Like I really do. Even now, like my kids are like, Mommy, can you put a song on? And I'm like, no, like I don't want songs, like nothing. But anyway, so it's like, it was one of those things where I'm like, you should know this. Like I didn't have to convince Wolfie or Matt or any of them to, like Michael, because he's a very like likable person, and they had known him just as he's likable.
In my own way. And then you have to get to know me kind of way.
It might take 3 years to like him, but you will like him. But because it took me a while, maybe.
Oh, so mean
because
to you.
Michael was mean.
Oh,
Wolfie,
it's
do you
mean.
remember how
It took me like 1 week to fall in love with the guy. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. It's like,
you know what? You both had long, strangly hair, so I understand.
Yeah.
No,
We
just
did.
kidding. No, like,
I had
do you
hair.
remember?
Yeah, it had hair was the key words there.
4 kids, like
4 kids.
Hat. That's what you have to look forward to. Just like
No,
kiss
do you-
your hair
Do you
goodbye.
remember he took my my
Headrest.
headrest of my little escort car? He took my headrest. We went somewhere and I had given him a ride out of the graciousness of my heart. I gave this like critical, mean man
Oh, it's so horrible.
a ride, and he takes my stinking headrest. He doesn't give it back. Like
It's
until
like-
the
I
very
think I remember that.
Joke was like, "Oh, you're gonna give it back to me?" And I'm like, "No, like this is mine now." Like, and it was in my room, like with Gary. Like,
Yes, I do remember that now.
like I used it as a pillow, like her head, her car. We weren't even that close of friends. I was just like, "No, this is mine now. I'll see you. Deal with it."
I really, but like honestly, like I mean, I liked Michael. He was a great person.
Not really.
When we met, we were both just so doing our own thing. I mean, I got out of a relationship from high school, and he was, you know, dealing with his crap that he had in college.
You had some bad girlfriends too.
It's one.
She was bad.
She's bad.
I think she's bad.
Sometimes people.
I don't know.
Sometimes
just
people are
happens.
just bad people.
Yeah.
And we don't
That's fair.
wish any harm, but
It's like it's just the
and
way
we
that
just
it goes.
it's
Yeah.
just the way that it is. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Anyway, rabbit.
that
hole.
was not my Jesus moment right there.
No,
So
like
anyway.
it was funny, like Hat talking about like the way that he was introduced to me. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
like that's really awesome. That's really cool to hear from your side of the story. Mine is like Raquel was like, "You need to meet my friend." Like, "Oh, you'd really like him." And I'm like, "Okay, I hate everybody. Okay, all right, I guess I'll meet this guy." And so she introduced me to you. So that was like, I guess like this test thing, that you have to pass. And I was like, "Oh yeah, like, yeah, he's really cool. We should hang out." And honestly, I thought you came in with us because I was such a horrible student and I had such a horrible attitude. I never walked down the hall in 24 down. Like, yeah, I'm a 24 downer, but like, I never left my 117 area of 24 down. So I just assumed you were down the end of the hall and I just never met you. Like, so I didn't know you came in a year after us. Like, I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess he came in with us, And I was like, "Yeah, totally. I could totally hang out with that." And yeah, he's really cool. And then we just never hung out. So
Well,
that's how our friendship like flamed and went out, I guess. So
But we do play Among Us together now.
yeah, now we're like Among Us friends.
no, you know what? Anyway, so yeah, so I mean, ever since then though, it's just been, yeah, I don't know. Valley Forge was such a we're young adults leaders now, and I think that the thing that we have such in common, like our core, is that between 18 and 28 is such core. I mean, those are such core years in a person,
Mhm.
and we grew so much in that time period. I mean, faster than what we had expected, but definitely, I mean, those years are something that you look back and there are those times where you're like, "Ah, why didn't I make a little bit better of a choice?" But at the same time, oh my goodness, we're definitely thankful for them, because I don't know that we would have had the perspective that we have now,
Yeah.
If we wouldn't have gone through them. And especially mine with my relationship that was literally a thing at Valley Forge. I feel like with Brent, it was if I wouldn't have gone through it, I don't think that I would have had, I just wouldn't have had the perspective and the grace and the love for people the way that I do now. And and it seeped through into our marriage and our family, and it's just something growing in our children too. Oh, I'm going to step away for a second because my Chromebook, Michael, hit it. You talk.
Oh, it's the wrong thing plugged in.
See, we're
Oh.
guys.
It's okay. We're all old. Hat's probably the oldest one here.
Maybe.
Get out.
Yeah, I think so. So I think Majeski talked about it on his podcast too. Kind of with what Raquel just said, like, like maybe it was a question somebody asked, like, do you ever have regrets or anything like that? And he was like, not really, because like everything that's happened in my life has like led up to like build me into the person I am now. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's kind of what I gathered from what he was said. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I remember Raquel, and I completely forgot about this. Was kind of one of those things like just comes up during the podcast. I remember I was interning in Pittsburgh when you guys started dating, and it was in June because I knew I was already out there, and she called me like flipping out because you guys went out on a date and like the excitement and stuff. And I'm like, with Mike Wilson? Like, that's amazing. Like, that's so cool. Like, I loved it. But I was just like, how random is that? And then, and I remember her calling me. You proposed, because you proposed on the beach, right?
No. Well, we started going out, and because we went to the beach with Erin Murray.
Yep.
You maybe remember her.
Mm-hmm.
How many times like us all hung out together? It was like crazy,
Yep.
And, so we went to the beach with her and her family, and that's where I was like, yo, listen, like, I like you, and you need to stop dating all these other beach guys. So
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of.
And like, I'm here to like save the day because they're all terrible and I'm not. So and that's pretty much exactly the way I said it. So
See,
That's incredible.
what's interesting to me is like you brought up the beach, and my earliest recollection of hearing about you was her talking about going to the beach. Like, so every time I think of like you guys as a couple, I think of the beach, even though like I wasn't at that beach. I've probably never been to that beach or seen that beach. Like, I can picture a beach whenever I see you guys, like, because like she was so excited about it, and like it just stuck with me. So like the theme of a beach like always makes me think of you guys, and vice versa. So
oh my word, that's awesome. Yeah, we so that's where like things kind of started. It's like really funny because actually where things really got heated for me, like now I'm gonna tell the story. I don't know if Kel's gonna be happy about this. The things got like really crazy for me where I was like, yo, like I need to make a move, or like this is gonna go really, really sideways for me really quick. Like me and Erin Murray and Raquel and Wolfie were hanging out at a Phoenixville park, and we were having.
It's where the where you would.
You remember this?
No, the bridge jump off place. That was.
Yeah.
So where the
Anyway.
tree, you would. Okay. Anyway.
And we were being loud. Let's just say, okay, and we got the cops called on us. Do you remember this, Wolfie?
Oh yeah, I still have the ticket.
You had the ticket? I paid it.
Yeah, but I still have the copy of it.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
I'll have to dig it up and send you a picture of it. But yeah, I still have it.
That is amazing. So we're all hanging out. We get the cops called on us, and I'm trying to be like, yo, let's be really cool about it. And Raquel's like, like talking like a mile a minute. And I'm like, yo, shut up. Like, if you just be cool, they'll leave us alone. Like, we're clearly responsible adults. Like, they'll just leave us alone. Anyway, the guy's like sergeant gets called, and he's being Mr. Big Britches.
That's right.
And he was, so he was going to let us go, but like his superior officer came and was like, yo, give them all tickets. So we all got like tickets or whatever. And Wolfie was really upset because you're a poor college kid and can pay for it. Like, and Erin and I were both working. We're like, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it.
And I had
whatever.
daddy. Daddy paid my.
She had daddy who took care of everything.
I needed a daddy. That's.
He doesn't so much.
So.
No.
So we go to, so Erin Murray and I drive down to Phoenixville to pay this thing for us. And I don't know if we took yours with us and paid yours too, or somehow we paid them and got everything like, squared away. And then we're like, yo, let's stop in and say hello. So we pull into that little like weird spot. I don't know if you remember where
By
like
the chapel.
where like
The library.
if you go through like, yeah, so like the library would have been to our left and the chapel was to our right. So you would drive past like the married couples like area and like that weird little school, that elementary school that was there.
The
and, like,
Renaissance or something.
Yeah, the Renaissance or something.
Yep.
And like we were parked there. And so like this is like May or something like that. And it's like toward the end of the college school year. And she's like, oh, and me and Erin Murray are sitting in her Jeep Liberty. And she goes, oh, there's Raquel and her new boyfriend. And I was like, mother effer. Like, I'm going to kill this guy. I've been playing this since January. Like, what is happening here? Like, I just got this figured out with this Brent situation. And I've been the slow burn here. Like, I'm trying to make this work. And now she's got this other guy. And oh, come to find out his name is Mike. I'm like, so what is going on? And, and I was like, so they come out and I'm like, this guy, he looks like an ape. He looks like a monkey. Like, what is like, and,
You're so mean.
I was so mean. Like, I was a mean person. And it was terrible. And I was so mad. And I was like, well, I need to break this up and I need to make a move like immediately. And that's the beach trip.
That's the beach
That
trip.
was the beach trip.
There you go.
Just,
I think she was still like kind of dating that guy and had to go on like a camping trip with his family and like break up with him. No, that for real happened. Like after we went on the beach, like still dating this guy. Yeah.
Real quick. I completely forgot that you dated this person who
Yeah.
is a pastor in my area.
Oh,
I could actually, I could very easily run into him. But I do remember going to the Park City Mall with me and Meg and you and this Mike, other Mike, we'll call him, that you dated.
the other Mike.
And looking at like rings and stuff for like fun. It was like, and I was like, this is stupid. This is dumb.
I'm sure he's great. It just filled me with rage. So
I was looking out for Mike Wilson.
exactly. And that's the thing. We just needed to light a fire under Michael. And
That's
so
it.
we were just like,
it's my
okay, you know
same
what?
name.
no, okay. Seriously though, like New Year's though, that New Year's was
That New
so
Year's,
like seriously was such like a time in our marriage or like in our relationship that was like so big because Aaron had invited, which, Aaron is a funny story because Aaron was my roommate freshman year, but her aunt, okay, so Aaron is from,
That's where it gets weird.
Aaron is from Indiana and the state of Indiana because there's Indiana, Pennsylvania too. So
Yes.
anyway, so she's from the state of Indiana and she came to Pennsylvania. Her parents went to Valley Forge and she moved in with her aunt who was Michael's neighbor.
My
So-
next door neighbor, like legit.
literally,
my next door
do you
neighbor.
remember those hills? So next door neighbor
Yep.
to Michael's parents. So because of that, I was hanging out. Brent and I had just we were kind of together, not together. I was
Going
trying
on
to
a
figure
break. I
out.
was starting to break. The crack was starting to happen.
No, so like
I was like, yo, he's gay.
Michael. Well, right,
Like
and
multiple times. Like, you need to break up with this guy. He is absolutely homosexual.
which. I mean, at that time, New Year's Eve happened and he was already, everybody knew he was homosexual. Wolfie's dying. He's like, he was.
I was so mean and
and
so blunt. Like, I did not
He
care. I was
was.
like, I have nothing invested in this, but you're being dumb.
Well, right.
It's just
And
facts.
It's
It's
just facts. I mean, honestly. And so anyway, because he refused to spend New Year's Eve. This was how manipulating and controlling he was. And you guys all know this because he refused to eat with me at the dinings, like at the common, like whatever, at the dining hall. He would not sit with me and eat dinner. He wouldn't sit with me at chapel. He was so manipulative and controlling in our relationship. It was just weird. It was weird. And So anyway, so I like that was a turning point though, like that New Year's Eve, because like I was able to sit with Michael and he was like so engaging. He wanted to talk to me. He wanted to, we talked about deep stuff, not even just like surface things. Like and then, eventually we started going to the bar together.
Well, it's like, yeah.
Sorry,
it's like,
Valley Forge.
Well, we started talking like that night, and it was all because, she wasn't allowed to hang out with her boyfriend, and Aaron Murray was part of this young adults thing that was part of her church that was in our area where we lived, and so she invited Raquel to come, and Aaron's off doing her thing where she was involved in. And that leaves me and Raquel sitting at a table where I thought everything was sunshine and rainbows with her. Like, that's not really my thing.
I mean, it was. I mean, I'm going to just admit to that and claim it that, a lot of the time in college, it was sunshine and rainbows.
She thought so, yeah.
I can see the bright side of anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was very, I may have been a little critical, like a little bit, introspective and, a little, I don't know what the word would be, macabre. I don't know, like what the word you would use. And so we didn't really mesh exactly. But that night it was like we got to actually talk. And I was like, wow, she's like actually really deep. Like she has deep thoughts. It's not just like, I got up and had a piece of toast, and then I brushed my teeth and, and then I had a great day, like that kind of girl. Like it was like, oh, wow, like you actually think about things. And it really changed the way that I thought about her. And that kind of really led up into my slow burn into June when we went on the beach.
Yeah. Anyway, so we could talk about
or
this
like
forever.
backtracking and going forward. This is like
fair.
Do
you guys ever watch Parks and Rec?
Yes.
So you're basically Andy, Dwyer and April Ludgate, but like the reverse, where Michael's April and Raquel would be Andy.
That's
Which
probably
is
true.
so perfect.
That's
I'm
probably
not
true.
gonna lie.
It is.
True. Yeah.
That is hysterical.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Except
that.
for she kind of has that look like she looks like she smells. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
I don't think I look like
Your
I
wife?
No.
No,
It's not
She
beautiful.
definitely does.
the actress. She has that kind of look.
She's
You know what I'm
beautiful.
saying?
She's beautiful.
Like you look at somebody, like I can't see you. Like I can see you, but like you look like you smell. You know what I'm talking about?
Like you smell bad or you just smell?
Yeah,
Because
like,
everybody
you
smells.
You have a smell. Like it's like, man, like
It's fair.
you had eggs this morning.
Anyway, Hat or Wolfie, new question.
No, you're good.
We didn't even ask any questions yet.
You're
Okay.
good.
You know what?
We haven't gotten to questions yet.
No, it's true. And
There's not gonna
I will say, like,
be-
don't feel like bad that you haven't gotten to a certain point. Like we're literally just conversating, and that's what people like hearing on this podcast is like they just like hearing conversation. So
Yeah.
you guys are good.
Good.
Wolfie, I will let you say anything you want to say based on their whole catch up or anything since then.
Yeah.
And then after that, Wolfie's going to transition into some questions for you guys. So
Cool. Yeah, I guess I'll say two things, at least I can think of. So the one is just piggybacking or kind of just reiterating what Hat said. Like your guys' first year of marriage, like sounds like you just went through hell, and like, but getting through that first year, I mean, like going forward, you can get through anything. And, I've been through very difficult times, not necessarily with my marriage, but just with life and things. And like, it just helps you refocus and like turn back to God, you turn back to like your core beliefs, like your core things. And like, like if you can get through that, you can get through anything. For instance, like 2020.
Yeah, seriously. And, Wolfie, like honestly though, you've been through so much, and we just we're just so sorry to hear about your dad. And obviously I believe I reached out to you when it happened, but it's like you and Meg have gone through so much too, and I can't even imagine. I mean, honestly, but you're amazing, and you have like completely, like you said, like it changes your focus, and your daughter, it's like it really does. I mean, and with your dad and your daughter, it's like it's just huge perspective on life, and it's what we choose that we're gonna like see it as. Are we gonna see it as this like negative and this devastating thing to our lives, or are we going to be validated in the devastation, but then move forward and feeling and growing then? But we love
Right.
you, and that was terrible.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, and we know, like, as devastating as that stuff is, as hard as it was that year that you guys went through, like that stuff, like it's not the end, and we move on, and there's life, and there's hope in Christ, and like that's what keeps us going. So I did want to read, because I went back like through Facebook Messenger and like just kept scrolling and got back to like, so I'm just going to read it. So this is from February 22nd, 2010. Just going to read the message. I said, "Hey, Poopy, it was me who texted you today. Meg texted me at work saying that she saw you were pregnant on here. So way to go. I'm so pumped for you guys. You need a godfather? Haha, just kidding, but seriously, love you, Wolfie." And then the message back, "Yeah, we figured it was you poophead. Thanks, we are excited. We're completely surprised. We had a 3-year plan. Oh well. As for
Well,
As for the Godfather, anyone can pray and watch over this child. We love you. Hope to see you guys soon." So a very gentle letdown on not letting me be the Godfather. But
I don't know if we
this,
so.
yeah, well, maybe not the Godfather, but you would be a great candidate for it, because I know you're like, you'd stab somebody for us.
So like a uncle. Is that like a thing?
I would stab Hatmaker to be the Godfather of that child. Yeah.
Is
You know
this
what? Like or would you stab him?
Well, I don't think we would have to, because there's now 4 children. So
well,
There's a couple
split
others-
'em up.
others to pick from. You can pick which one you like the best. Yeah.
so I don't know if this is like
We do at mealtime.
I don't know if this is a bad time. Raquel and Mike, do we tell Wolfie how I'm already the Godfather, or do we just leave that out? Oh, that's
Oh, man, I thought you were going to say they were having another kid.
That would be a flipping miracle. And I might go to the clinic. Just kidding.
Oh, wow.
Maybe.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, James Majeski over here. Freaking dark.
See, no, this is
She
the thing.
takes it too far. She'll get mad at me because like I'll take a joke like way too far.
What the hell happened to that rainbow shit?
I don't know. Like
I
I think we
lost
bled
it.
into each other. Like I'm like, ugh, like that's awful, and she's like,
No, hold on. Stop for a second. It stopped because I have 4 children now. So it's not rainbows. I mean, it's so far from rainbows.
So what you're trying to say is you got a little bit of me in you.
Well, yeah, that's how you have 4 children.
I got a lot of him in me.
Oh,
Anyway, so but that's like legit one of the best perks of like marriage. So,
Yeah, not everything is like super happy. Like, oh, look at the
No.
It's like, yo, reality is like for real. Like you
Okay,
have to
I
deal
was
with things.
literally talking about sex. So,
Oh no, I was talking about like personality types. Like yours needed to be curbed big time. Like that rainbow stuff needed to get curb stomped. Like
but anyway,
for
so
real.
no, so yeah. What were we talking? Wolfie had said something.
I don't know.
I had too much tea.
I don't know. Yeah, that's fair. So, no, it's good.
This is gonna happen. We're gonna go off the rails at some point.
Well, we've got a decent amount of questions, and some of them like tie back into what you guys have already shared, but kind of elaborate on a little bit. So, if it's cool with you guys, we can just dive into the questions. Hat, do you just want me to take it away with these?
yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
And like Wolfie said, I mean, if it's something you've already touched on, you can briefly pass by it or go more into it. It's completely up to you guys. So
Right. So the first set of questions here come from Andrew Kindler, who is also in Lancaster.
Yes.
So his first question is for Michael, because Michael shared a video of eating like one of those like really hot chips, one of those like death chips,
Yes.
whatever it's called. So Andrew wants to know, are you a fan of hot and spicy stuff? And if so, what's your favorite hot sauce?
Oh, that's hard.
I am a fan of hot and spicy stuff, but I would not necessarily call myself like a connoisseur, so to speak. So I don't necessarily have like a favorite like spicy sauce. Like I'm not like all like hot ones up here where like I know like all these like weird crazy sauces, you know, or anything like that. But I do enjoy some spicy food. I like a lot of like, you know, Asian stuff like
What was that ghost pepper sauce that you got from Cabela's?
oh, I did get a ghost pepper sauce once that had like a skull on it and like a little cowboy hat for like the lid. And that was pretty good, except for I had it for like 3 years and I only put like 3 drops like in like some chili or something like that. And then I kept it in the cabinet till one day I finally actually read the ingredients on the back and it said keep refrigerated. And like I had it like just chilling in the cabinet, like not chilling like at all refrigerated. And I would be like, man, this makes me so sick every time I eat it. Like, what is up with this? Like, do I just not like spicy stuff? No, it was just probably because I was like expired and like terrible. So I don't know. I don't really
Figured.
have a favorite spicy sauce, I guess, per se.
But
That's
he's huge into the smoker. We recently,
Mhm.
recently I bought him because I'm the good wife. You know, I bought him a Traeger smoker, and so now that is his full-on thing. So Andrew, you and Nancy have to come and everybody else, all 24 down, come visit our house and we'll smoke some meat for you.
Yeah.
We will do that. So Andrew actually has other questions, but I'm going to skip ahead because somebody asked a question about the smoker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So somebody's been watching you guys, I guess, on social media maybe. So Tim Sarajan said, I saw that you invested in a smoker a couple months ago. What have been some of your go-tos for cooking up some delicious meals?
Ooh. It has revolutionized my culinary lifestyle. Like everything has changed.
It's been
Pretty much.
amazing because not only now do I get done with work and Michael gets done with work, he's like, oh, hey, I'll smoke something. And I'm like, yes, I don't have to think about dinner now.
It's like
So it's amazing.
barbecue is invented for women to trick men into liking cooking. That's basically what pretty much
Yes.
what it is.
Yes.
So but now I have actually liked seafood. So like we've smoked like salmon and like scallops and shrimp.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten really good at like all of that stuff. I've done like the really long things like brisket and like a pork shoulder and all that kind of stuff. Like where you get up at like, you know,
Mhm.
in the morning and throw this thing on there that you marinated from the day before and all that kind of stuff. Like I really do enjoy it. And yeah, so it's definitely a big part of how we cook food lately. I would recommend it to anybody.
I've been thinking about it. You might have sold me on it. Or maybe I'll ask for one for Christmas from my wife.
Dude, it's legit. Even like
Meg, do it. Do it
if you
now.
like shrimp, like you can smoke shrimp. Like I got like
It's awesome.
I made my own bruschetta from like tomatoes that we planted this summer, and then got like a French bread and cut it into like 1/4-inch slices and put it on a sheet, butter and oil and garlic, and then smoked the toast, basically the toast, and then put like bruschetta on it. It's amazing. Like it changed a life.
Sounds good. Maybe just might have to come down there and check it out.
Dude, Yeah, for real.
So I'm gonna skip back to Andrew's question. So his follow-up for the kind of hot sauce question was, did that chip burn as much coming out?
It actually did not. No. I thought I was like really gonna be in for it like the next day. Like I was dreading it like all night. Like after the burn finally stopped, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna have to deal with this tomorrow. And it really did not. So that was like
It's a blessing.
thank God. Yeah, it was a blessing. Yeah, big time. I was like, all right.
Daniel, so I will say, add on to that because I'm the mom and I'm obsessed with my children. But Daniel, our middle son, he also had a piece of the chip, and he totally like manned it. Like he did awesome, which I'm super shocked. But he was like milk.
My favorite part of the video is when I'm like, Daniel, is it spicy? And he's like, and then like his eyes get like really big. It's like it changes like where he's like, no, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say this.
Total dread.
Like literally, I think the night prior, my wife was watching. There's a YouTube personality or whatever that she watches, and they did that same chip challenge literally the night before. And so like when you guys posted your video, I was like, oh, that's crazy, because I just watched this video the night before about it, because I had never heard about it prior. So now it's like all in front of me. And so I told her, I was like, yeah, I was like, so my buddy Mike, like he did it, and he did it with his son, and like his son was just badass, just killed it. Like, yeah, no big deal. Like I was so shocked. I was like, holy crap. Cause like the YouTube video she watched, like the guys that had it were just like going crazy. Like, this is insane. And then I watched like your son, and he's just like, yeah, that's all right.
But you know what? Like it's just so his personality though. He is that child who you're like, he's like the three-legged puppy that you see. And he is like, he just needs a little help, but he is the strongest mother effer that you have ever met in the world, because he just powers through stuff.
Yeah.
Where he's like,
we should have videoed the after effect of that chip though, because like he runs over to he downs that milk that's like in the video, but then he runs over to the freezer, grabs 2 ice pops, and he's got like 2 in his mouth. He's like, this is really hot.
Give me a frozen.
He never like cried about it, but he was like, it's really spicy.
But he held on for the camera. He's like, as long as the camera's rolling, like I'll be good.
Yeah.
He kept it together.
That's so funny.
He's the middle child, so he has to like,
He's got to be tough.
He's got to hold his own ground. So
That's fair.
He's my favorite. Just saying.
Don't say that out loud though.
They're all your favorite, is what you're saying. But at this moment, he's your
They're
favorite.
thinking it loudly though. But
no, like literally, he's my favorite. Like,
That's fair.
like have multiple children, and you'll know, moms do have a favorite. It might be in season, but we have a favorite in each season. Right now, and for the last 7 years, it's been Daniel.
You just said. I love that you just said that, and like he just walks by, like
he doesn't care. He's in his own little world, like all the time. Like he doesn't care.
He's oblivious to it all.
He's my one where it's like, I'm like,
no, I saw
Daniel, yo, Earth to Murph, and then he'll finally look at me.
I don't know. You just said like he's my favorite, and then he just kind of walked by with this like sort of little strut. He was just kind of like, oh yeah.
That's how he walks.
So Andrew's next question. He asked both of you this separately, but it's the same question. What was your major at Valley Forge?
Good question.
Well, I started off as, elementary education. But then, I'm going to butcher this, but was it Dr. Brown?
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous, like African-American woman, gorgeous hair, curly. She like full of personality. she came in and I switched to social work. So I was 2 years elementary education, realized that I do not like teaching children in any way, don't like it. That's why my kids are now currently not homeschooled because of COVID. They are going to real school. Because
You can't call it real school. Public school. They're going to public school.
That's fair.
real school.
Like, get out.
It's real. Like, you can leave. And then I switched to social work, which social work has been awesome. I mean, honestly, I love the field. I cannot wait to get back into it. Right now, my focus is just on the kids and, the kids and all of the others. But social work is so far in me, which is crazy because it was only 2 years, but it was like those courses, like Dr. Brown, and I feel like it's Howard, but I don't know. But anyway, they were like, the professors in that field were so amazing because they were like real life. Like, they weren't just like, oh, these Christians like that Valley Forge like formed in a way to like show their, he just sneezed. It wasn't like these like professors where they like showed, I don't know, that they were just these fake people, where like they were actually really good professors and they like showed us the world and they like really invested in us. And so anyway, so social work was mine.
Didn't social work start while we were there?
Yeah.
So like you were probably one of the first people at Valley Forge to do the social work major.
Yes, Ashley Gillespie.
Yep.
What's her last name now? Love.
I don't know. Yeah, it is. Yep.
Ashley Love her and I were the first ones to walk with a social work degree, which like Michael like called me out on it. I had 2 Bible classes, which that was crap. I mean, honestly, like how many Bible classes did I need? But apparently a lot. I don't know. Like it's just insane. Like that whole thing was just insane. But yeah, they wouldn't like formally give me they wouldn't mail me my transcripts until I finished this one class or whatever. But you know what? At the same time, you know what? They give grace to everybody else, but yet to me, like going through like hell and back with the whole like embarrassing crap that I went through, they showed no grace when it came to that. I got like W's, like withdrawals and incompletes because of that, but.
I walked too, but I didn't typically graduate. I didn't graduate until like October.
Really?
Yeah, because I just didn't finish a class and like kept like, I think it was it McLeod? Is that who looked like Ned Flanders?
Yes.
He taught like an online class. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, like I need more time. Like, please give me more time. I need to graduate, but I need more time. Yeah. And he was like, okay, like I'll give you the summer. And then like summer ended and I was like, can I just have like a little more time just to get this done? Like I didn't get my diploma until like October. Like it was hilarious.
No, same. I mean, honestly, it was the same. I think it was September I had, because grandma died in October. See, like there's so much stuff. Like we like map out our timeline of our like first year, like by like sad, events.
Right. But, I think with graduating, we just milked it to the point that Valley Forge was like, oh, we just got to get rid of these people.
Are you kidding me?
Please, we won't start collecting until they graduate. Like, just graduate them already.
Seriously,
True.
$100,000. I think it was like $102,000. Yeah. Like it was insane amounts of money.
I only went for 1 year, and I got a really good job, like I said, and I paid mine off. Like I was before we even got married.
But anyway, what was your?
Yeah, what'd you study, Mike?
I went for music. Actually, was what I went for. So,
Just music or
Just
music,
music.
education? Nothing.
Nothing, just literally music. Like I was
Like,
going.
why do they have
Like as
degrees
if,
like
like
that?
as if I was going to like the Juilliard School of Music. Like I was going to do something and be a bass player in like some orchestra somewhere. Like this is never going to happen. It's the dumbest degree of all time. I don't, I was
Just
terrible.
music.
But do they like?
It was
Does
just
Valley
music.
does
Yeah.
Valley Forge still promote that? Like, I would like to know because that's like seriously
I need to
ridiculous.
Probably.
Because that's not fair. Like, it really
No.
isn't. And
If you're gonna go for music, like if you really think you're good, like you need to go to an actual music school,
Right.
like the Juilliard, or whatever. Like you need to go to a music place.
I mean, it's like if I was like, I want to like do something with like writing. So I went to Valley Forge and majored in words. Like,
pretty much. It's like
what's your major? I'm studying words.
words.
study of words.
But like, okay, like I
what
just
can
want
you do? Words.
okay, like Matt, I'm not gonna remember his name, but he was on a worship team, Matt, and he was a funny guy. He married Lori or Laura.
Matty B, we were just talking about him beforehand because he lived in my apartment with us.
Yes, he was an amazing. Was he a drummer? He was
Yeah, he was.
Right. Amazing, and yet he probably went to school for music, and now he's a nurse or a doctor, maybe, I don't know, but he's something in the medical.
Probably a nurse.
Right.
Rocket scientist.
Not
I don't
that that's a bad thing to be a nurse, but to doctor, it takes like 8 years and all that stuff. I respect, no offense, I respect nurses more than doctors, but that's because my mom's one.
I totally agree with that. But that's the thing where I'm like, you know what? Like, it's just such a sucky thing that Valley Forge like pulls you in and being like, oh, it's, do music, do this, because it's going to get you somewhere. No, it's not. It's not going to get you anywhere.
I had such a bad taste in my mouth, like right from like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to college. Like I played soccer in high school. I'm gonna go play soccer in college. And I went a week early. And actually that's where I met the twins and their roommate, where they like stole like a refrigerator or whatever. Like I was like there, like I was downstairs and they were upstairs.
I have to pee.
And
You don't have to announce it, but okay.
so like my first people that I met was the twins, because I had to go early for soccer to
God, you played soccer.
and I went and I was like so excited. I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. And like everything like just kind of changed for me, like in that first like month, where like everything went really sour, where like the music major that I signed up for, the time slots that I had to do like certain things totally coincided with like soccer practice. And it was like, I can't do both. So like soccer is like not like I'm not like going to be on MLS like after this. Like, so that's got to go. I guess I'll do this like music thing. And after like the first like couple months or first like couple weeks, I should say, of music, like you had to sign up for whatever your instrument was. You had to pay an additional fee to get lessons in your instrument. So I played bass. I only played bass. That's it. I played bass guitar. And at that time, and I go and I'm like, hey, I play bass. And they're like, cool, we'll set you up with this and you pay this extra fee because you're a music major and you'll get lessons. And I'm like, all right, well, that's cool. I get one-on-one lessons with a instructor. I get there and my instructor for my bass lesson is a classical guitar player. And I'm like, he says, well, what are you hoping to get out of this? And I'm like, what are you going to teach me? Like, you're a classical guitar player, not a bass player. Like, like, oh, I'm just hoping to learn how to like play like faster and whatever. Like I gave like a BS answer.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, well, you can play with like 3 fingers and whatever. I'm like, okay, that's like classical guitar stuff. Like it's not going to translate to playing an electric bass. And I was like, all right. So that really was like my first week where like I was excited about something and I had to give it up for this other thing that I also was excited for that's kind of turning out really crappy. And that was really like my first like couple weeks at Valley Forge. Like I was like, all right, I'm not really sure like this is all for me. And I really was an awful student. Like that first year was terrible. It was my only year, but I would be like, oh my gosh, like it's raining outside. I'm not going to class. Or I'd be like, okay, it's like overcast. I'm not going to class. Or I'd be like,
Yeah, just
I'd look out the window and be like, it's outside. I'm not going outside today.
I think I remember like Baldwin and I just coming like into 24 down and like coming to your room and being just like Michael's just been in his room all week. Like we need to get him out of there.
Seriously. No,
For real, dude. For real.
Yeah.
You did.
that was
I completely forgot that you played soccer a little bit.
Oh, it was only for like the first week. Like when I realized that like music, like whatever the extra requirements that I had were gonna like I was only gonna get to like the last 20 minutes of soccer practice. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I have to give one of these things up. And that was like a major bummer to me, like for the first like
Which,
couple weeks
you
of
know
being
what? You know, I know that you and James and maybe a few other people don't want to have children, but but these are things that we are learning, like as parents, not to like, I don't know, like just not to push, because like that was one thing where his parents were like, okay, well, which one are you going to choose? Like, are you like, which one? Like, do you want to do soccer? Do you want to do this? And I don't know. It's just like this, it's just so much. But anyway.
Plus you get to totally live vicariously through your children. So, you know,
Yeah.
there's that plus.
No.
Yeah. It's awesome. I'm doing it now. Like
Yeah.
I don't ever get to poop my pants anymore, and Abby does, and it's awesome.
And it's the best thing ever. And you're like, yes.
Yeah. I get to change it. Yep.
And I get to do this. Anyway.
So Andrew's next question is for Raquel. Yeah, it's a good question. He said, why did you and Wolfie become such good friends in college?
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, you know, Wolfie, I just felt like I could mother you. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think it was just, I think it was just,
Physically or emotionally? What do you just...
you know, all of the above. No, stop.
I'm gonna get up. I'm walking away from this one.
He just has to get more tea.
That's fair.
Anyway, so no, I think it was just like your free spirit, honestly. I mean, I grew up in a really small town. I mean, Shanksville, Pennsylvania is known on the map because of 9/11, and you know, we were so tiny. And I think it was just literally just the free spirit and the fun, like just the never ending giggles and laughing and just, you know, excitement. I loved that you loved pudding. And, you know, all of these like silly. You loved chocolate pudding. I think.
Loved pudding.
Oh shit, I did. Yeah.
Didn't Aaron and I get you pudding for your birthday freshman year?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was. But I think it was just that. And then I think that just the bond then that like you, Matt, and I all had, that, you know, so many people didn't come back to Valley Forge.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were really just kind of growing up together in a sense where, you know, we had this freedom where we were kind of testing the boundaries of being adults in a sense, and then just loving the fact that we were able to be free and just be who we were and not having to care about any of that. But then also I just feel like we kind of just grew up together. I don't know. I just think that that's like the biggest thing is just that we tested all these waters, we smoked pot, we smoked cigarettes, we did, you know, all this stuff where we were like, you know, I'm so sorry. Like we drank and, you know, I had never done any of that kind of stuff before. And, you know, it's just this like phase that we kind of like went through with each other, but yet
Yeah.
we knew that we had that solid firmness that we all loved the Lord and we all loved Jesus, and that there wasn't that judging and that mindset that we were like terrible people because we experimented. And I don't know, I think that that's why I loved you and Matt so much. I mean, I just think honestly, I mean, fully, and Michael can attest to this, like there's just, I praise you guys all the time. I'm like, oh, well, they had a baby, or oh, Matt just got married, and look, did you hear his like new message, and whatever. It's just this like little like this bond that it's just, I think because we went through freshman year and we had this core group of friends that we were so close to, and then they all left, that we kind of just, we knew that we were each other's like safe space in a sense. And especially me, because literally all of my close friends like left. So I only really had you and Matt that I felt
the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like our freshman year was very formative of like our Valley Forge experience. And I think part of it is like we just have big hearts. Me, you, and Baldwin, like we're very caring people. Yeah. Even though like by my senior year, like people just thought I was a complete dick, which I absolutely was. But like deep down, I mean, I'm like hat maker level of just like hard on the outside, soft on the inside. Like, but like we were all like that. So we had big hearts. And then like we saw things for what they really were, though. Like we didn't, I would say 100% I was the same way my freshman year of just rainbows and like, everything's fun. Like college is basically like youth camp and like, we're just going to have a good time. And then like, it was like, by like second semester, it was like, oh shit, like people like, this is like messy. Like people are messy. And like recognizing that, but still like having the big heart, like to know that that's okay. And like people are going through stuff. Like, I think it was just like, we just caught on very quickly. Like, okay, like Valley Forge is like a Christian school, but there's definitely like things here that happen that like aren't like always going to be pleasant and like the best. And like, that's okay.
It's
like, we'll get through this.
Yes. And it was like, I mean, we just recently spoke at our young adults with the young adults. And we were saying like, I said like, we went through so much stuff, and like in college, I went through so much stuff, but yet I like clung to these people who were really like, they were centered in the Lord, yet I went through so much junk. Like I was so silly in the sense where I thought that power was in leadership. And I loved that quote that that Matt had said where, I'm going to lose it. Sorry. It was, I literally wrote it down in my journal. It was like, power is, oh, darn it. Anyway, so it was like something about power and like being
really impactful.
We'll go back and listen to it. Yeah.
It was
insert really impactful quote here.
Matt Baldwin. But no, it was like
power corrupts. Absolutely.
It was like power corrupts pretty much. But anyway, and I felt like that was so true with Valley Forge, where I felt like we were, I longed so much to be in leadership. And, there I was with Brent, and we were both RAs. We were both like high up in, this non-facade in student life and, student ministries and all of that. And, I just then literally nobody, like no one, it was silent. As soon as all of everything was out in the air and, I told and I confessed of what was happening and all of the stuff, and literally no one, not one person checked up on me. And, I'm sorry, like to throw out somebody, Amy Miller, sorry, Andrew, because I know that Andrew Kindler and Nancy are working beside her. But like, honestly, like Amy, yeah, she goes to victory.
Yeah, she goes there.
Oh, Jesus help me. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I was so hurt by her because Mary was this person that I felt like really loved me and like knew who I was and was okay with, and I'm opening up about all of the stuff that I'm struggling with. And I literally heard nothing. And you know who stood beside me? It was Wolfie, it was Matt Baldwin, and it was the 24 Down guys, like all of them. Like it was like, that is where I felt just so accepted. I mean, and then to throw in, Karen and Raven and well, later on, Michael, but like Michael.
No, I was still mean. I was like, I told you.
No, man, you were just out there to get some. That's all it was. It was
no, not really. I was just like, yo, I told you. Like, you're dumb.
Yeah.
Why were you so silly?
But like, honestly, it was just like, and poor him, he had to wait like a year and a half, but it was like, it was like, honestly, it was like these guys who like, and Michael like saw that coming in. It was like, you guys like 24 Down, like totally pulled together. Like I sat and I dined with 24. I'm going to get emotional. Dang it.
Oh, it's okay.
I'll
cry with you. I'll cry with you.
I sat, after all of that, like, because it hit so home with Brent, and his friend and his girlfriend and all of this like group of people, which was weird. But, I only felt like I could sit with you guys. And like, I felt like you guys just, it is, okay, now I'm going to go spiritual. So I'm going to go emotional and spiritual all at the same time. It was like this bond, like this bubble of like Jesus that like wrapped around me in a sense where nothing could hit me. It was like this invisible bubble. And, 24 Down was so good at doing that, where I felt so accepted and so loved. And, that I felt protected. Like where no one is going to say these things about me. No one's going to do this stuff. And, I just felt like it was you, Wolfie, and you had, and, these guys who like, just really were like, we're going to watch out for you. And we're going to make sure that you're okay, because you guys knew that I was at this vulnerable time. And then, Wolfie, you just being, hanging out with Michael and I, and then, Hat just accepting Michael and in that sense. And
it's funny, like, and like being like having like Raquel having that experience, like it's kind of weird where like that's where I was from, like in Valley Forge, like I was from 24 Down,
right.
And like it's just kind of funny how everything kind of always circles around,
Right.
Like just kind of the way that it's supposed to be.
And that, but I think that that's so, this spiritual aspect of like and I know that it's fun and games and happiness and silly jokes and, icy hot and whatever, but like going down those halls and, Rick, laughing his guts out, because he dropped his towel or whatever, it's like, it was all of these things, but yet it was such a, like a place where like, you knew that these boys were going to, or these, now men who were going to keep you and they're going to be standing beside you. And I don't know that anybody else really felt that way, but and I know that this has nothing to do with Andrew's question, and I know Wolfie really didn't live on 24 Down, but I felt that with that group, where I really felt like through those hardest times that I could always run to Rizzo or whoever, and just feel like, and Josh Lee and Sam, I can't tell you how many animes I heard about, but they sat and they talked to me about it and, whatever. It was just like the best thing. And it was light and it was heavy and it was, now looking back, it was just beautiful and exactly.
She marries a guy that loves anime. So
He does. But anyway.
Yeah, I feel like there was like a spiritual sense of it that like we all had our understanding of like what it was to be like Christ-like. And
Yeah.
like it wasn't like, okay, like I can put on a show, I can do like, I mean, to me, it was like like I did student leadership my freshman year with the student government. And like immediately after that, I was like, okay, well, fuck that. Like, I'm not doing that again. Like, that was
No.
terrible. Like, and that's what attracted me to 24 Down then was just like that. And when we talked about this, like on mine, like thought it was just so authentic and like, 24 Down, you could come at your highest and you could come at your lowest, and regardless you were going to be accepted and loved, and like there was going to be people there that would like take care of you.
Yeah.
And like that's what like and to go back to Andrew's questions, like that's what our relationship was too, Raquel. Like I think that's why we were such good friends. And like same thing, like that's why Baldwin, like you and Matt Baldwin, like we were the ones that came together and stuck it out. No offense, Michael. And like we just loved each other.
Yes, it's so true.
And then Michael was like, I got to get back in there, and the only way I can do this is if I can land Raquel.
I'm gonna
To
bang
marry
her.
it. Yeah, no. There's a piece of me like after all of this is like, you know, listening to the podcast and things like that. It's like, man, I really wish that I actually did like embrace, you know, all of 24 Down and like really join into the community aspect of it, because I really didn't, you know, and I wish that I did. But I don't know that would have been good for all of you.
No.
Well, and you don't know where that could have taken you, because you could have like had a completely different experience, been at Valley Forge for 4 years, and instead now you have a beautiful wife and 4 beautiful kids and
Yeah.
a beautiful bald head.
Or I could have been the evil genius
The
of
beautiful
24
bald
Down.
head.
I don't know.
Just put your pinky up and we'll just pretend like you're Mike Myers
right.
and that. All right. Anyway, go ahead, Wolfie. I'm so sorry.
right.
Hat.
What are you apologizing for? This is great. This is gold. I love this. Anyway, I'm going to let Hat, he's going to ask the next questions, which are from Colleen.
Yep. So we got a next set of questions here are like he said, from Colleen. And some of these are quick hitter questions, but feel free to go into as much detail as you want. First question is, and all of these, I think, actually, there's one specifically for Raquel, but most of these I think are for both of you guys. First one is, if you could go back to Valley Forge for one day, what is one thing you would like to do with 24 Down again?
I would honestly, I loved, okay, this is going to be weird. Be weird. Samsung was, you know, it was one of my favorite things is he remember he had his own rice maker. He had his own like rice pot. I don't even know what it's called, a cooker. And he would cook rice and he would then like bring it out and he's like, oh, I got my rice. And I remember like sitting in that like little entryway and literally just like the excitement and the joy that came from like, I mean, was it closed off by a door? I don't know. But you know, when you went into the
there was
building,
a vestibule like on the one end.
it was the center. No, the
Oh,
center.
the middle center. No, that wasn't closed off. Like you went in like a glass door.
Yeah.
It was the glass door, right? And then were there couches there?
Not originally, but they think near the end, I think they might have put couches.
Yeah, there's couches that line the hallways.
No.
Yeah.
In the
You-
doorway.
You're talking going through the glass door, right?
Yeah.
I think at first there was nothing there, and then they put like one of those like wooden padded cushion chairs type of thing. Like it's like a cube basically.
Yes.
It's cute.
Okay, just to like sidestep on that a little bit. Michael's parents had a cube like that, literally the identical set. And so when I first went to Michael's house, he had that same exact couch as like 24 Down would have had, or Valley Forge. But anyway, I would
It
go
was
back.
in my bedroom.
It was in his bedroom.
And we've had that since they were married, like my parents. Like,
because they also went to Valley Forge. But anyway,
I think they stole it. Like
they
I
probably
think
did.
they did.
But anyway, I would have gone back. I would have went back. That is my 24 Down memory. It's just like literally sitting there, all the commotion and all of whatever. I honest to God believe that Rick dropped a towel at one point, like walking past and like going to the shower and like laughing. His laugh was so like, I don't know, it was just like the most beautiful sound in a sense, where he was just so it's confident, manly laugh. And it was a, giggle. And it was just beautiful. And, just having those, like you and him, and I don't know. I also loved our drives. I don't know. I love the drives.
It's a great question. I'm thinking about it even right now. And like, honestly, I think I would probably go back to like, and it's not even necessarily a 24 Down memory, but it's more of like a college memory. But I think like if I had embraced the 24 Down more at that moment, it would have been probably even just playing in the band that we had, Mayflower, and just like pumping that up. Like we could have pumped that up so much more if we, kind of embraced that whole, that whole scene, like, yo, we're all like a community, like, oh, this is our band. And like, we have a community and we have a band and we have a dodgeball team, like hear us roar, like kind of thing. And like, that's the thing where like, I think I probably would have gone back to that moment, like writing music and that kind of stuff and doing that. Embraced it a little bit more than I did.
I mean, I'm gonna say this, like, definitely, like that definitely would have taken off, because the fact that like Tom Rizzo and myself had a Guitar Hero band where we played plastic guitar and people showed up for that. Like, imagine like an actual band, like where you're actually playing the music, like, so yeah. So I think, that would have for sure happened. Obviously you can't go back and change things now, but like, before I get into Colleen's next question, like, again, so you were a part of 24 Down before a lot of the people that are involved in this podcast and this rebirth of 24, everything like that, before a lot of us were involved in that. So a lot of us either maybe knew you for just a short time or kind of knew you after through Raquel or whatever it was. But like, if you look at, I think what's really cool to me is like, if you look at the group chat or the interactions, stuff like that, like everybody is embracing you and vice versa. You're embracing everybody as if you had been there the whole time too. So like, I think like, I understand your thing of, oh, I wish I could have maybe, gotten more into the community at the time, but now look at it and it's like, everybody's like, yeah, like he's one of us, you're accepting us as one of you. It's just, I don't know. It's a really cool thing. So, yeah. So Colleen's next question, and I think it kind of is the same question. So she had a two-parter. She asked what your favorite memory of 24 Down, which I think you kind of basically both just touched on. But the opposite is, what is your worst memory of 24 Down?
Oh, okay. let me give a so now that I've rethought about both of those questions, let me give a little recap. Okay, let me go back. My favorite memory of 24 Down, and this goes back to even Baldwin talking about like us being an enigma, like me and both my first roommate, Gary. My favorite memory of being a college student was the first few weeks of living on campus. And I don't know if you guys remember, we lived in 117 and the ceilings were really high because it was the triple, and I never had a third person. Like, I lived there for fall and semester,
Spring.
Yeah, fall and spring semester, and never had a third like person in that triple. So it was just me and Gary, and then me and David. Mm-hmm. And my first like little bit, Gary signed up for all these like AM classes, so he had to be up at like 6:30 to get to these classes. And we had like Rage Against the Machine, like I think it was like Bulls on Parade, like loaded in our CD player, you know, because like you had to have, you know, whatever, like CDs, like physical, like back in the day. And like it would come on at 6:30 in the morning, you know, Bulls on Parade starting, and that like woke us up for the morning. And I like rolled over, and Gary's feet were dangling, you know, 7 feet in the air. And he thought he was just back home and on ground level. And I'd wake up to Gary plummeting to the ground, like bam, in a pile on the floor, and just be like, oh. And Gary's like a really strong dude, and like to like see him like all crumpled up. Like I grew up with Gary, like we grew up in the same town, like we lived like 5 minutes away from each other. The alarm would go off, Bulls on Parade, and then Gary would fall down to the floor. And I was like, it was the best like 2 weeks. Like every day I'd wake up to Gary like crumpled down, like, oh, there's Gary. And I'd roll back and go to sleep because my class didn't start until like whatever, 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning, you know? And so let me backtrack. That was probably my favorite memory, and it has nothing to do with any of you guys other than I lived on 24 Down and Gary got really, really hurt. So what was the other one? Least favorite memory? Worst memory?
Mhm.
Worst memory of 24 Down is
Josh Bertram.
oh, that is a really bad memory.
Damn.
So one time, okay, so I have two memories. I have one that's like, okay, so I have one of my worst memories was also kind of tied into my favorite memory was Henry the janitor would come up and be like, so I was there like early, so like he learned my name, which is like a bad thing because then he like knows my name, and he'd be like, "Hey, Mike," and like wipe his nose with the glove that he just cleaned the toilet with, and then want to shake my hand, and I'd be like, "Henry, like no, like I don't want to touch you right now, like maybe like elbow bump." I don't know. It's like pre-pandemic, so like I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I guess I shake, you know, and. That was a bad memory of like Henry, but like I also loved Henry. So, you know, one of my worst memories though was I had a guitar that an ex-girlfriend gave to me
She was a whore.
that I was told this was given to me, right? But then I had two goons show up to my dorm room to, I guess, bust me up over this thing, like to like get this guitar back, like from me in the middle of the night, pounding on my door. And I won't say their names. It was just maybe initials. It was Josh Bertram and Anthony Alvarez. They're both horrible.
Oh, yeah.
No, they could be really good people.
They're probably great. I don't know. I think they're bad. Whatever.
They're probably not great. I'm just gonna say it. Like I only knew them a little, and I will say they were probably not great. But go ahead, continue.
I'm gonna say maybe one or both of them was probably the reason why I realized that there was massive hypocrisy on Valley Forge campus, and was like soccer and music and the way that all went down like kind of started me like kind of on like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. And then I was like, whoa, you guys are like going to be pastors? Wow. All right. Really hate this, like to the nth degree.
Done with you.
Done with this whole place. Like you're going to rot for all I care. Kind of where that attitude came from. Yeah, they came to my dorm room, and the only thing that really like kind of saved me was like they were like both bigger than me, and I got down to my underwear and I like jumped in my bed and pretended I was asleep like a wuss. And Carlos came and like unlocked the door. Carlos was my RA, and he unlocked the door, and he was like, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just woke up. Like, what's going on? And they were like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, and they both like left. And Carlos was like, Michael, what's going on here? And I was like, yo, like, I don't know. You guys are like trying to get this guitar from me, from my ex-girlfriend. She told me she gave it to me. He's like, Michael, it's not worth it to hold on to a guitar from your ex-girlfriend. And I was like, oh, it's probably a terrible accent of Carlos, but That's what he sounded like to me. So I loved Carlos. Actually, weird story. My mom actually went back to Valley Forge as an adult, and Carlos was in her like Old Testament class, so she knew Carlos
And the one Bertram.
Oh,
and Kevin Bertram. Well,
Kevin.
actually, Josh Bertram, not so much. He can eat dirt. And Kevin Bertram was awesome, and Carlos, and they were both like in my mom's freshman like OT class with Malcolm Brubaker. So
That's awesome.
By the way, like, can we just like give all props to Malcolm Brubaker? Like,
absolutely.
he is like he's just such an amazing man. Like, I love him so much. And him, and you know what? Oh, darn it. Who were the really old couple, white hair? Both him and her both were at school.
The old ones that would make out during like the relationship chapel.
Probably. Yes.
They did. I don't remember their
They're
names.
the ones that sit all the way up front, and like every time there was a good point, instead of saying amen, they go right on.
No.
What?
I don't know.
Nobody remembers this. I remember this. There was like a hippie that sat in the front row, and every time instead of saying
No.
amen, they'd go right on.
Anyway,
No.
no, it started with a B.
That
Anyway,
happened.
there were some really amazing professors at Valley.
Mhm.
Anyway, so to sidetrack with Michael, worst memory of 24 Down. I don't have any bad memories of 24 Down, honestly. None.
That's a
fair.
great answer, Raquel.
I love.
Great answer.
I
That's because you
love-
didn't live on the floor, but you got to get in all the shenanigans on the floor. Yeah.
Truly.
Oh, another great memory is all the holes in the wall that me and Gary put in, and we didn't get charged for any of them. We put up Hello Kitty posters like everywhere, and they didn't question us at all.
Yeah, because that's
It was super weird. Every hole in the wall that me and Gary put in, we just put up a Hello Kitty poster, and they didn't say anything to us, and we didn't get charged. It was amazing.
Which, speaking of, okay, so second semester, his did Dave Avila ever come back for a second?
Yeah, he did. He was there for fall of 2006.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember him, so he was for sure.
I went and visited him, and he was very sad. Yeah.
Okay, Dave Avila I don't know what he's doing with his life, but I mean, it would be interesting
I
to
think
see.
he's a psychologist now.
I think he's on Facebook. You can probably look him up.
I'm
yeah.
going to
Look these people up.
I think he's a legit psychologist now.
which would be perfect. I mean,
After
him and
living
I-
with you, yeah.
we used to go on drives together, smoke drives all the time. I think he was the first person that I ever went on smoke drives other than like my originals. And then to add on, he was probably one of the first people I smoked something else with. Yes, go. My kids are still awake.
You smoked brisket with, right?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to clarify all of this for, whoever podcast. My kids are still awake only because there's a sleepover happening. And I
Oh.
was always the no mom. And now I have become the yes mom. And so when the friend had asked to have a sleepover, I said yes. And then to add in, there was a whole dog situation and divorce situation and single mom situation. And, I just feed everyone and I
It's
just
that big heart.
live here. Yeah. You know what?
All
My
right.
house is your house. But anyway.
No, that's good. So Colleen's next question here, she's got two more, and this one is specifically to Raquel. She wants to know if the craziest thing you guys ever did together was the bonfire under the bridge.
Yes, 100%. I mean, who burns a piece of Valley Forge National Park? I mean, honestly, I think that was honest to God.
We
The-
really burn a piece of
Ellie.
the national park. Or did we burn some wood near the national park? Or no, it was in the national park.
Either way, I think you're a felon now.
They can't take me away from my children. No,
Oh.
I'm just kidding. That was probably one of my favorite. Like, honestly, that is such a deep memory within myself. I mean, that was so much fun. It was such a thrill. And I mean, honestly, all of it was just, I think that was literally one of my favorite memories. I mean, Colleen is just beautiful and she's so amazing and she's rocking life. And, but that is probably one of my most favorite things of her, and that and her makeup just being on point all the time. But her herself just, I mean, she's just this full big fire of herself. And as an 18, 19-year-old coming into college, I saw her as this like person who was just, she knew who she was and she was working through it all, and she just ran with it and was humble in the same sense. And she was, I mean, that was it. But honestly, Matt Sorrentino was a really bad influence in our lives. And he
was the best and the worst.
Honestly, Wolfie, I don't know. Was it a Bronco? What did he have? What was his vehicle?
I have no idea. The closest thing I could like compare it to is like a tracker, but I know it wasn't even that.
No, probably not. But he was so much fun. And I literally, we all had so much fun together. And he would anyway, but freshman year with them was just so much fun. And Colleen was there throughout the whole thing. And even if it didn't have 24 down stuff with it, she's just fun. She's a fun girl and I love it. And she's such an amazing mom now. It's just beautiful to see her.
Mm-hmm.
But
for sure. Well, Colleen's last question, and I guess both of you can answer this if you want. It's a question she asks everybody that comes on this podcast, and it's, when are you getting the 24 down tattoo?
I mean, I would get it tomorrow because you know how I love tattoos.
She loves tattoos. She wants me to get full sleeves. So maybe just 24 down, full sleeve, 24 downs. 24, no arms, man, PR, whatever, and all the way down. Just,
it's ironic getting no arms man on your arm. Yeah, I'm for it.
Actually, that would be pretty sick.
That would be fun.
Get him right here.
But yes, I mean, I think that we should 100% find a middle ground. I mean, Hat, you're not included in this because you're so far away. But I mean, find a middle ground and we should all just line up and it's one right after another. We'll all just get 24 down.
I have a tattoo from my old high school band that I was in, and it's a circle, and in the middle of the circle is empty. So I guess I could put a 24 down inside there on my shoulder.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It's it's prime real estate.
That works. Yeah.
Sure, why not? So that would be fun.
I like it.
Me too.
Right, so that's Colleen's question. So I think Wolfie's going to take over again here with some more questions.
Yeah. So I've got some more questions, and these ones come from this guy named Carl Wolf.
Yeah.
If you remember, met him.
Nice.
So.
No, I can't do it.
You can't. Sorry.
I love how Matt said that I started that, and it was totally you. So,
oh yeah, it was. I knew that. I was
completely you.
Whatever. It's fair. It's fine.
Okay, good.
We were all part of it, but yeah.
And he said that
I know.
say it all the time. Dude, I did not say it all the time, but whatever. All right, fine.
We'll let him have it.
We'll let him have that. Yeah.
So we pretty much covered this question, which I was going to ask. When did you two stop being friends and start being something more? But I think we pretty heavily laid the ground for that one. So I'll ask you this, which I know there's been variations of this, so I'm going to add in mine. What's your favorite Wolfie memory?
That's a hard one. Wolfie, you were just such a good part of my whole college career. You think about it, and I will just talk about
Yeah,
all
you
of
do.
my like favorite things.
Just shut up.
I loved, okay, just to pull in like Aaron and you and Michael and myself, and you might not remember it, but do you remember when we all were in Aaron's Jeep Liberty and we were watching, was it Star Wars?
Yeah, it was
It
Revenge
was Star
of the
Wars,
Sith.
but like my favorite Wolfie
Mm.
memory. And Meg, I love you so much, and baby girl, more than the moon. But I like whenever Erin would walk in from a makeout session and she would like talk to me about it or whatever. And you know what? I just loved all of, I mean, there's not any memory of you, Wolfie. I have no bad memories, like
That's
none.
your favorite?
That's my favorite. Your favorite?
No,
Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
gosh, that sucks.
Don't let Meg or Abby talk about it. Like, don't let them listen. But no,
That was awful.
there's just a bazillion. There's just a billion. I mean, I could say the same thing for Hat. I mean, there's just
Hmm.
not one memory. It's 4 years of memories.
Right.
My
fair.
favorite memory of Wolfie is the fact that I don't even know the moment when I met Wolfie, but I know that I knew him all the time.
Well,
like
that's good.
like every moment was so poignant that I knew you like we were friends all the time. And I say whatever. I say Wolfie, like you're asking the question, but like I say it like I knew Wolfie like as if we knew each other all the time. We were old friends right from the moment where we met, and that's why I don't even remember how we met. And there's other people that I do remember exactly how we met, and Raquel and I will contest how we met, but and where it happened. But like but for you, it's like like it's like we've always been friends.
Right.
You know, I don't even know how to point like out one moment because they've always been so integrated. Yeah, like with foundations of kind of who I thought I was, you know, like it's really weird, like to describe, like even to put it in words right now, like it's such a foundational question, really. And I don't even really know what to say, like for like, what's my favorite moment?
It's fair.
I really don't know, because like, it's like, you're like a brother that I've always had, you know?
Mhm.
I don't
I feel the same way, man. Like,
yeah.
I know, like, I feel like I do remember pretty well, actually, like meeting Raquel and Matt Baldwin for like the first time, because I think it was outside like the back porch, but like, I don't remember meeting you for the first time because like it just like it's just like our friendship like just like naturally like was just always there. Yeah, I don't know, it was weird.
It's so
Yeah, I
true.
totally agree.
It's so true. And I think that that's what, like, you know, the time passes us. I mean, we're like, what, 15 years? Has it been 15?
Yeah, we're old.
Yeah, we're old.
No, not quite
I mean,
15,
I'm
but-
bracing 34 and we're just
Yeah,
34
pretty much
and
15.
embracing it. But you know, it's amazing how you just, I don't know, like these people, like they come in your life, but yet there are these like full out like cheerleaders that you know who are like fully like praying and like roaring for you in the spirit, like to do good and to do well. You know, that's the connection that we feel like with you know, a bunch of the 24 Down boys and, you know, a bunch of the people from college is that we literally roar in the spirit for you guys. And, you know, just that, you know, God is meeting our needs, and beyond that, he's meeting our wants. And, you know, we see that and we want that for everyone. And because there's such a tie to this amazing, you know, I'm going to say a building, but, you know, to this group that we have just formed in a sense where we just want so much goodness for everyone. And, you know, that's the thing, is it's like, there's not one memory. And what's beautiful about what Michael had said is just that it's just like this year long of like not knowing where it was, but it lasted 4 years and 15 years or whatever it was. And that you're just like, oh, that's my friend. And, you know, it's like, oh, you know, I know him, you know, type
It's
thing.
really funny to me that you and I have both the same memory of each other. You know, like we're like, oh, we were just like always.
Yeah, man.
You know, like
Yeah. But
that's really
It's wild. Yeah, I mean, I just remember like before, like even like when like so like this podcast started and we're talking about like people to bring on and like the groups and stuff, and like I think Hat and I were talking about Raquel, and I was like, oh shit, like Raquel married somebody that lived on 24 Down. Michael lived on 24 Down, man. And I was like, I remember like just showing up and like just like you would be holed up in your room or whatever, and I would just come and like sit in there and hang out with you, and like we would just listen to music or play video games or just relax or talk or like whatever. And it was like that, ironically, was like my first memories of 24 Down.
yeah.
oh, that's so
You, man, it was good. So my next question is kind of been a staple for the podcast. So if you were going to have a building at Valley Forge named after you, what building would you pick?
You go first.
I mean, you could share the building too if you want, but
I mean,
you could each have your own.
No, you pick your own building.
I mean, let's just change up the mail room, and it could just be the Raquel room. That sounds bad.
Hey, welcome to the Raquel room.
The hangout, area for all the degenerates.
You know what?
Yeah,
I
because-
really don't know what it would be.
Because open dorm only happens so often. Let's hang out in the mail room. It's the
Stop.
Raquel room.
In the Raquel room, yeah.
It sounds so bad.
Isn't that where Mike put it, and that's how you got pregnant?
Yes.
You put it in the Raquel room?
You know
No,
what?
it was in
We
room
don't-
117 and 24 Down.
No, we don't know
Uh,
what happened, honestly, because he was away.
I was away.
He
Maybe.
was away.
Maybe
And
not.
you
I
know,
don't know. What
and
else?
you know, it's amazing. I mean,
doesn't
let's
take a
just,
lot.
let's just bring him back real quick. This is spiritual. Yeah, go lay down.
No. So I'll pick
Um,
a favorite place
go ahead.
that I would want named better. It would absolutely have to tie into how I interacted with Valley Forge and the way that I viewed it and how I was, and it would absolutely have to be the bunkers underneath the whole freaking facility. It would be the Wilson bunkers, and
Nice.
that would be me for sure.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. I love it.
Fabled bunkers.
So the Raquel room and the Wilson bunkers.
Yeah, that's a real regret. I wish I didn't just go under there, because it's like I wasn't coming back anyway. It's like I should have just went in those freaking bunkers.
So you never went down there?
Did you guys?
I know. There was like kind of like there was like
plans to do it.
they were all under the buildings, but on the back of campus was where like they had demolished buildings, and so it was like exposed back there. So like I remember like going kind of into one back there, but never actually like directly under any of like the buildings that people lived in. But Hat, you said you did.
Chapel, those demolished buildings,
Where?
like near that weird old chapel. Like those old buildings are
Like way on the back of campus, like back where like the softball fields and like playgrounds.
Way back.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was entrances back there.
Yeah.
Did they,
Oh yeah, it was the whole freaking campus. Like the whole thing had tunnels.
Yeah, there was at one point that we went through 24 down. We went into the tunnel there, and we went under what would be the RA room. Like we were underneath that, and came back up on 23. So like we went from 24 to 23 underground, and then there was another time that we went from 24. Or no, we went from the cafeteria. Like, you remember that long hallway by the back porch?
Yeah.
We went from
There was a trap door right there.
yes, and we went from there to 24 down.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, like they all connected, and there were parts of it that were like still like relatively okay, and then there were parts that were just like, this is not safe, but we're college kids, so like whatever, who cares, you know? Yeah,
We're still on our parents' insurance plan. It's fine.
right.
Oh man. So
Yeah, the one by the what is that? With the back porch, that trap door that was by the back porch. That one was always so enticing for me. Like I'm the person like
yeah.
walks by a fire alarm and like has to hold my hand back from like pulling it. Like that was like that tempted me every single time I looked at that freaking trap door.
You know
So
what?
wherever there was tunnels, so like here's a great example, like 4 and was it Wells or Shelton in the mailroom that all had the walkway there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wherever there was tunnels underground, there actually used to be hallways above ground, above
Yes.
those same tunnels.
That makes
So
sense.
anywhere there was like a major walkway, there was a tunnel actually right underneath that.
Yeah. Do you guys remember where the chapel and then admin building, there was like that weird like where they like cut it off and like you could see where like they actually connected like at one point
yeah.
in the courtyard.
hmm
So when my parents went to Valley Forge, actually underneath that was the actual library. So that was connected at one point. And when they went, that was the library. But the school had so little money that the library had the books, but they didn't have enough money to buy desks. And at one point during World War II, when this was an army base, Valley Forge Army Base, that was the morgue. And the desks that they had were the morgue tables still in the 80s when they went there from World War II.
That's pretty
Wow.
cool. All right, but anyway,
We thought we had it bad.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, no air conditioning is bad.
Yes.
Yeah, but we didn't have to like study where people like had their dead
Yeah.
bodies and stuff. So
But like,
There was
literally,
dead bodies on
we-
those things where
we-
they were studying like
we-
and they probably didn't have air conditioning either. So
no, they didn't.
Damn
They just
it.
had old people smell. Like dead people smell
yeah.
Anyway,
to keep them cool.
the cold spirits.
So my last question is, can we hang out soon?
Yes.
Because you guys aren't far.
Wolfie,
We suck.
honest to God, we literally, I just said to Michael, because we went to, it was the Blue Mountains, but it was Newville. Do you know?
Yeah.
what it is? We were just there with our young adults group and we drove through Mechanicsburg. And I was like, I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to take a picture. You know, I'm always
Oh my goodness.
fast. And I said, Michael, we should just like say that we're going to be late and we'll just like ask if they can like hit us for dinner or whatever. And we didn't because, you know, we're kind of responsible at making time management stuff. But anyway,
Right.
so we, but honestly, you're not far. And
Yeah,
yes,
really.
No, we're not.
100%. And, you know, it's just, I mean, Wolfie, you will love my kids.
We have a guest room now, so like there's really no.
We recently, you know, in February, we bought a house, 5 bedrooms. So
Wow.
you can come stay with us. you and Meg and our little baby girl, and I have a Peg and Play so she can come sleep and be comfortable. And
We'll make it happen. I mean, I love the fact too that it's been happening. There's a ton of us in Pennsylvania, and I think Michael and Andrew were even talking about it a little bit. But like, I know, like, and it has eaten away from me for years, and I feel so bad about it because I know you guys were in Lancaster, and it's just like, oh well, to get down to Lancaster, and like, it's not far. And
we had 4 kids in, 6 years?
Like 3 years. Oh, 6 years.
It was a lot. I mean, honestly, we have changed so much in that course where it made it easy to hang out with people, but yet extremely hard. And I totally get it. But, honestly, I'm so excited. Like, I'm so happy. And, I think that it just has to happen.
It's been really crazy.
Yeah.
Just like all reconnecting, like 24 down, and then even like creating like a Mayflower like chat where it's and just talking about like whatever music that we're into and stuff like that, and it's like, oh my gosh, like we were really tight knit like at one point in time, and it's like it's really crazy. And even like
but like, hold on real quick, how much do the twins literally look like Nicolas Cage?
Did you ever see the picture from New York?
No.
So there's a picture. This was.
You put a sweatshirt on. Are you cold?
No, I went out to have a cigarette.
Oh, darn it! I stopped smoking.
So there's a picture. There's a picture from. This was after Valley Forge, and this is when I was living in Pennsylvania with Gene. And Gene and Francis and I went to New York for my birthday. And we didn't know what we were doing in New York. We literally are like, let's just go to New York. We had no plan at all. So we just kind of walked around the city and did some stuff for a few hours. So we come upon this wax museum where it's got like all like celebrities in wax form. And there's a picture of Nicolas Cage. And so I was like, you guys have to stand next to him. And I took a picture. And it's like, Francis and Gene's long lost dad here, like in New York City.
That is perfect. Honestly, he could be. They're like triplets.
I honestly always thought, no offense at all, that they looked like Nicolas Cage and Marilyn Manson's like love child.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they kind of looks like to me.
I could see that. I could. Marilyn Manson though, like
it's got that long face, it's like long, slender like face and whatever. And like I'm like, oh my gosh, like those mix like together, it's like spot on. Like it's them,
I mean, but Marilyn Manson's music, you can't like not be impressed by his music.
Not so much, it's terrible.
No, it's not.
He's nothing without Trent Reznor.
You don't listen to music, Raquel.
I mean,
no one trusts your musical.
Raquel is a closet Marilyn Manson fan. All right,
stop it.
I mean, if you never listen to music and you had to pick like one thing to listen to, you're gonna go with Marilyn Manson.
Yes. No, I'm gonna go with Evanescence. What?
She doesn't even know how to say it. Evanescence.
That is
Evanescence.
That's my soul right there. It's so dark, but it's so beautiful at the same time. It's like flowers coming out from the dead.
It's probably better that you don't listen to music.
Please don't.
I mean, honest to God, like it
it's
really
getting bad
is.
now.
It's better.
You're gonna have to edit this.
Cut it all.
All right. So we got a few more questions to go here. So this question is from Michael, or for Michael from Buddha, and he said because he was pretty sure you guys came in the same year, which you guys did, but he wants to know how the heck is Gary. He was one intimidating dude, looked like a Marine that had a drinking problem at 18.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's his dad elder of the Hopewell Network, which is an amazing network. His dad is the exact same flipping way, and Gary is the most intimidating. He was on my start team. I'll just add on, and he scared the living life out of me as this rainbows and butterflies girl coming in, and he scared me. But I will add on, 2 babies in, Gary.
Yeah, Gary is awesome. Gary is doing great, and man, I love that guy. He was after college, so he left. He was only there for 1 semester, and then I got a new roommate, and then I was out, and then we were both college dropouts or whatever, and that summer we became absolute best friends. More than we even were. We were acquaintances before, we grew up in the same town, we knew who each other were, and I kind of think that made for good roommates. You didn't step over each other, you were just friends enough, not best friends where you're gonna have a fight and a falling out, or you just know each other enough that you're not gonna step on each other's toes too much, and really work through some stuff. For being immature, freshmen, and yeah, we just really became really best friends for that next summer, and for a little while after that, till he went off and did another. He went back to school. He graduated.
He's doing awesome. He's in a ministry right now where he is a college. So him and his wife go to colleges, and they are the young adults leaders, but yet they are at a specific college. And, honestly, we totally support them, monetary and everything. We support them because, they're doing really great work. And, Gary's awesome, and he is so stinking intimidating, but he is soft at heart. And but you know what? My favorite memory of Gary is that he had come to our church at the time, and he's such an artist. He has such a gifting in and honestly, in painting and just art in general. And he's so prophetic in excuse me, in his artwork, where he does this whole thing with art and painting and whatever pencils, and he's really amazing with pencils.
We did a thing a little while where we were doing a really long it was called Worship with the Arts, and we did a really long worship set where it was basically 2 to 3 hours of just music, and we would have artists there on site, and Gary was one of them, where we'd usually have 2 or 3, and they would be painting or drawing something while the prophetic music was going on at the same time. And Gary was amazing at doing that. And that's obviously after, we've been through college and whatever, and we're wherever we are at that point in our lives. But yeah, now he's married, and he's doing a college campus thing, and it's awesome work that he's doing. I love that guy. So
I loved Gary. I always just thought he looked like an angry Muppet.
He put on a thing where when we were in youth group together, he was a guy that wore really, really tight t-shirts and UFO pants. And listened to Five Finger Death Punch, that kind of guy, or Finger 11, and he was known, his thing was his nickname was Scary Gary, and it kind of fits. He carried that into college a little bit, where he was okay,
a lot of it.
He saw what I think all of us saw in Valley Forge. Way sooner than probably all of us saw it, and was okay, I'm friends with Michael, but I hate literally everything about this place. So yeah, I'm not going to stay here for very long, and I'm just going to push literally everybody away by Scary Gary, facade that I can put on. Thank you. that I can put on and just like push everybody away because I don't need any of you, and that's just Gary. So, and he is one of the most loving persons that I've ever met in my life.
Right.
I love that guy, and
He is, and he's
but
such a good dad. He's
Oh,
such a
yeah.
I mean, and he was at our house recently, and I mean, within the last year and a half, and I would have to say is like him and his wife, like they have such a beautiful relationship where
so perfect
they're
for each
so
other.
united, and their baby is just so loved, and he is like so scary, but yet he's
Where Gary is like so hard,
He
like, and you
sees.
can like see that, and it's like even like when he's not facade, like Gary, he's a hard guy,
he's intense.
And
He's
then
Yeah.
like his wife is so soft and so earthy and so like they just so perfectly mix with each other, and then they have, like this awesome, beautiful baby, and it's like it's
now.
yeah. And now he's like what 3 or 4 years old. Their first.
They have 2 now, but anyway,
Yeah,
they're awesome.
That's good.
they're awesome. They're doing great.
Yes. So Buddha,
Yeah.
yes, he's scary Gary, but yet he is just like
Not
soft,
anymore. He's lost that
this
big
soft
time.
man who is just
Loves the Lord.
he loves
and
the Lord
loves his family and
so much. Like
Yeah.
and he always has, and that's what's so inspiring about Gary is that he never fell short of the Lord's calling upon him. Like he knew what he was like called to do, and he kept seeking that in every aspect, and he
Yeah.
went from one aspect to the next aspect to the next, and he just kept going until he finally found where exactly he was called to. And
Nice.
Yeah,
honestly,
he's
it's
an
awesome.
inspiring person in that where like it's almost kind of like, oh, and I don't mean it like in a bad way, but like the Forrest Gump thing where it's like you're this same person, like no matter what situation you're in, like you are the same, you are who you are. Like Gary Chrisman is who he is, no matter what situation he's put in.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going to be that. He can't be anything other than Gary Chrisman. Just like Forrest Gump, like he can't be anything other than Forrest Gump, like whatever. Like he's in war, he's in racial tension. He's like, he can't be anything other than who he is, and it's like
It's a good thing to be.
It's a good thing to be because he's a good person, and it's great,
Yeah.
So, and that's what I mean by that. Like he's just,
If he was a terrible person, it would be a terrible
it
thing.
would be bad. Yeah.
He's a
it
good
would be
person,
like-
so it's a good thing to be.
right. Yes. That's exactly.
That's
what I mean.
good. That's good. So these next questions are from Matt Baldwin.
Oh Lord, how long have we been talking? Jesus, I feel like everybody's gonna be like done. Sorry.
No, we're good. We're good.
Sorry.
It's gonna be a 2-parter. I knew this was gonna be long.
Don't apologize. And listen, we're pretty close. I think there's 3 more people that have questions, so we're close. But literally, don't feel bad.
Josh, but are you?
We are almost done with questions,
We're gonna make
and
it-
there's 2 of you answering them. This is the first podcast that we've had 2 people with responses.
For sure.
All right.
It's gonna be a
I'm sorry.
2-parter, no matter what.
I mean, if you just want to skip Matt Baldwin's questions, I'll let him know. Whatever. Hey, go skip your questions. That's fine.
No, we're skipping that.
All right. So Bowdy's questions, they're actually just for Mike. So sorry, Raquel. He says, Mike, what was the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back when you decided to leave Valley Forge? Which we touched on a little bit, but if you want to elaborate a little bit more.
For real, what happened to me was I actually didn't fill out FAFSA forms like soon enough. So I actually didn't get funding to come back to Valley Forge. So it wasn't even like a philosophical thing where I'm like, F that place. It was like I couldn't come back unless I came up with $16,000 in like 3 months. And
Which, by the way, do you remember in freshman year when they did, and maybe they did it throughout our year, but I skipped chapel or maybe, I don't know. But he won free housing.
It was like $500, but yes, I won free housing.
Yeah, free housing because he lived in 24 down. Like, here's your free cardboard box.
Donnie Myers is like, pick all the people that live in the cheap housing. Like, so like
Give
all the
them
people in the
Bongiorno.
all the people in the cheap housing like went into the free housing for a year thing, and so they pull my name. I wasn't at chapel because, by the way, I had a fake job, and I also was the Jason Bourne. Sorry, Josh, like you were not as good as me. Like of skipping chapel, like
Shoot.
I was absolutely like the master of all masters of skipping chapel.
Yet nobody wanted to tell me, because my favorite man pastor right now, Brian Coles, caught me stinking skipping chapel one time, and I skipped chapel, and Brian Coles caught me.
I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how people weren't able to skip with Brian. Like, people always had that like fear of Brian, but like, I'm gonna say it flat out right now. I lied more to Brian's face than anybody else, and he believed me every single time. Oh yeah, Brian, I just forgot my Bible back at my dorm. I'm gonna go grab it. Oh, okay, cool. Never saw him again, or whatever.
Like my shtick was I had a fake job, so that got me out of like whatever. There's like
3 days.
Yeah, three.
3 days. So like I had like 6 chapels or 9 chapels that I had to go to. Plus you get whatever skips. So I only had like 6 chapels total that I had to go to. Right.
Yep.
So my shtick was this. So anybody listening to this and maybe a future Valley Forge, like whatever person, was I would go in early, like George Costanza style. Like I had my Bible and my notebook, and I go in and be like, hey guys, like I just need to be in here early. And I'd be like, yo, like pretending to pray. And as soon as the line got really big, I'd be like, yo, I gotta use the bathroom. And those bathrooms are like right outside like the doors.
Yeah.
And I'd grab my notebook and my Bible and I'd go to the bathroom. And as soon as the line piled up, I'd be like, and I'd Jason Bourne out of that freaking line. And I already scanned, I already got in, it counted for the day, and I was out of there. So it's like nobody works harder to get out of work than me. Like, it's like
No, which is so ridiculous, because
it's absolutely
honest to
ridiculous.
God.
Respect it. Nope, I respect it.
Okay, I'm gonna just say this with Josh, like your whole thing with Brian Coles. I would agree with that. Brian Coles heard a lot of lies. And I was one of those students who I had lied to him, and I was like, oh, I don't feel good. I have diarrhea. Whatever. I don't know.
Damn, girls had periods. Like us guys, we missed out. Like I could never just be like, hey Brian, I'm just Aunt Fliv's in town and I need to go back to my room.
And I gotta go get this.
Like if you were a dude, you had to have an art to it, like for real. Like you had to be like freaking good at it.
Girls
And
can
I
only
was
do
like,
that
there's
once
no
a
one
month.
that was better at me. Like freaking
Guys don't know that stuff, Raquel. We would believe it anytime you would tell us. We wouldn't want to chance it. We'd be like, well, maybe they lied the last
Like the
10
next
times,
week.
and this time it's real. So
First thing ever. Like,
But no.
it only lasts like a week, and it'd be like next week, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's the worst ever.
No. Okay, honest to God, like
What's going on with you?
One time I tried, and he caught me, and he was like, Raquel, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing. I'm going to chapel. And I like turned around and went back into stinking chapel. And that is where
She's probably gonna meet one of her dumb boyfriends.
yeah.
All of this to say is that not everybody can skip chapel.
I wasn't very good at it.
No.
I think I might have done it once, maybe twice.
Wolfie, you know why it was? Because we're awesome. Like,
Well,
awesome.
you know what? Here was the thing.
People can't
Chapel was so boring, and we didn't let it get that boring. We screwed around so much in chapel that sometimes it was okay
It was.
to go to chapel.
It was
Yo,
just like
speaking
one
of-
more thing.
Speaking
that we
of
had
screwing
to do.
around at chapel, like my first week there. So I talk about
I
like
gave him a
soccer.
breath mint, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna marry that girl."
No.
Like legit.
I don't think that's the story.
No, legit. I pulled out a
We're doing like some jujitsu over here. Like, listen, no, I don't remember that at all. No, I do remember you having
You
candy
do.
in
You
your
do
pocket, like
remember it.
all the time,
Just
like an
wait.
old woman, like you're a grandma. Like, what is going on in that purse? Like, you have like lozenges, like Werther's Originals. Like, nobody eats those candies anymore. They stopped making them in 1920. Like, but like, I remember being in chapel. So this is my first week, like, of school. This is another memory. This is like,
Jesus,
I
we're
wasn't
going
even thinking about
like
this.
way far. All right, hurry
No,
up
but,
so
like-
that these people don't have to hear us.
You're fine.
it's like the point of a podcast. Like, people listen to you.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's good.
like my first week there, I remember making friends with Wolfie, making friends with Bowden, and we had like a whole group of friends or whatever. And I remember being so on the outs, like within the first week of being there, because I didn't come from an Assemblies of God church. And that was like a real feel. Like, I really felt like I was on the outside because I didn't come from that background. And then
We're gonna go into a whole spiel now.
no, we're not. Or you can, but I'm not. But like, we went, like, there was one chapel where, yeah, we were making it fun. We were joking, like, the chapel's probably stupid. Like, you know, it was horrible. And we walked out, and one of the RDs, like, grabbed me on the way out and was like, hey, I want to talk to you for a minute. And I was like, oh, okay. What's up? And like, all you guys got to like go free. You know, it's like Matt Bowden, Wolfie, you know, like
John,
I don't know.
whoever.
John Roginski or whatever, and like there's a couple girls and like stuff like that. There's like a whole like crew of us that were all hanging out together in the beginning of like the first like couple weeks. And he pulls me, he's like, I noticed you and your friends were talking, but you were talking the most, so I'm gonna go ahead and dock you for this chapel, you know. And I'm like, because you were talking the most. I was like, okay, so are you okay with that? He asked me, and I said, no, I'm not. I'm not okay with that. So, like, if you know that all my friends were talking, so you're either going to dock them or you're not going to dock me. I was like, because I don't play that kind of game. Like, this is like first week. And I was like, or you were watching me the whole time, which means you weren't doing chapel the way that you should have been doing it. So you should be docked to chapel. And I was like, you're an RD, so you know what? Shove it up your butt, you know? And I think his name was Rick. I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
Who
I
was
remember
that?
not liking him like ever, forever.
I don't remember his last name. He was the guy that gave me shit for driving around in campus with people with towels on their heads and screwing around. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't
I had
know
a
who that
nickname for
is.
him and it rhymed with Rick. But Rick the, you know, and
Prick.
Rick the Prick. Let's
Yeah.
just say that.
Or the dick.
Or the
I'll say
dick.
it.
whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And
Who had
at that time, I'm reformed now, so I don't say that.
help me.
Oh, I have to share this. This is the one
Wait,
memory
that was
I
like-
have.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to, the one memory I have of like how we made chapels fun because of how boring they were. I don't know how true it was, and I don't know where I heard it or why I shared it with people, but I told a ton of people that I heard that Amazing Grace. So the melody and the tune of Amazing Grace was based off of like an old 16th century song about masturbation.
Oh, Jesus.
And sure as shit, like that week, I told all these people that, and that week they played it in chapel, and they got like 3 notes into it, and I just see like a dozen heads just all turn to look at me, and I just lost it. Like,
That was the best.
yeah,
I mean, honestly. I mean,
like that was the shenanigans that made chapel bearable.
okay, honestly, like, Michael disagrees with me, but like, wouldn't you like to go back to Valley Forge as a 34-year-old? Like,
Oh,
as
no.
a 34-year-old and just be like, I don't know. Well, one, I would do my classes differently, but 2, I mean that you could change chapel so much. And it would be amazing. I mean, honestly, it would just be sedentary.
No.
I hated it so much.
Yeah.
really
I would go
don't-
back as like a 34-year-old for a day.
Yeah,
Okay, whatever.
I wouldn't go back for.
Can we all
anything.
go back together for one day?
Yeah, let's all come over here and smoke some meat and have an awesome cookout. But
Please, no, and then go back to Valley Forge.
no, I don't want to go back there. I'd go to Valley Forge National Park, but I don't want to go back to.
There you go.
All right.
Going there next week. So Bowdy's next question, or his second question is, Michael, he gave you a pair of soccer shorts, or no, you gave him a pair of soccer shorts that he had for like 10 years, and he wants to know what color they were.
They were blue
Blue with
Damn.
white
with white stripes.
stripes, because I took them eventually.
No, I have no idea. I really don't know. I don't remember that at all.
From
Raquel sounded pretty sure of herself.
Yeah, you guys
No, I
convinced
know that I
me.
had a blue Adidas hat at one point in time that I have actually a picture of that I'm pretty sure that you, Wolfie, stole from me, but no one will cop to it. So
I don't have it. But I did steal clothes all the time. I have D-Shat, like a ton of D-Shats clothes that I still wear. So
which you should.
no, I had it for like a hot minute, and there's one picture of me and Gary, and I'm wearing this Adidas hat with my full coif of hair, and and that was the only time that I ever wore that hat, and it was gone after that.
sorry, don't have it.
I'm sure that you do.
All right, so this next set of questions here is from Tom Rizzo, and he's got one for each of you. I think they're relatively quick questions. So
Okay.
the one for Raquel, he says, "Do you still have a piqued interest towards Italian and mafia stuff? I feel like I remember you talking about it at Valley Forge."
Yes, I love the mafia. Oh, Josh, darn it, you're gonna make me like crave a cigarette.
Don't
All
do it.
Don't do it. Sorry. Continue.
I mean,
Mafia.
I can't, but I mean, I might vape later on. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe. But anyway, I mean, honest to God, I love the mafia like so much. I mean, I love the Italian mafia. I love the Irish mafia. I love it all. And I 100% feel like I'm part of it. And I would shoot somebody for my 24 down boys, and for my children. I'm crazy a little bit. Like I'm a little bit crazy.
She scares me.
Where
You look scared.
yeah, I'm
Terrified.
scary. Where like people would not want to mess with me. But no, yes, I am 100% like I know that like they all love me. Like the mafia is just like, oh, that's Raquel. That's Raquel Childers. But also, and this is not a plug. Oh dear Jesus, not at all. But like my uncle is the machine gun preacher. And look his movie up. And that is my uncle. And I just have this thing for guns and like
A penchant for violence.
yeah. I just love
Which is
it all.
really weird. It's very
It is
It's
because
contradicting to her normal person.
I mean, I'm like a fan. Like, I love mafia stuff. Like, I love the movies. I've read several books. Like, I find it fascinating, like organized crime. But I've never been just like, I love the mafia.
no, honestly,
No,
Like,
honestly,
I love reading about the mafia, but not I love the mafia.
no.
if Raquel
I
could
do.
insert herself into a movie, it would be The Departed. Like,
Yes,
if she
that's my
could-
favorite.
It's a good movie.
Like,
It's a good movie.
I mean, there's no, there's just no better.
Like, and there's so many times
mean,
where
honestly.
like my movie taste and her movie taste does not line up at all. But it would be like, yo, I recorded The Godfather like part 1 and 2 off of. We had HBO for the weekend for a free preview, and she'd be like, let's watch it. Like.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's the truth. I don't know what it is. I mean, I love it all. I love every part of it. I love the mafia. I love the brotherhood and just the protection that the women get and all of it. I mean, I just love it. It's my favorite.
I mean, the mafia always refers to themselves as a family.
Exactly.
Kind of like the 24 Down family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, why can't we be the 24 Down Mafia?
There you go.
Well, because we're good people and we
I
just do
mean-
shenanigans, not organized crime.
But I could bring a gun.
well,
Probably.
Raquel, you just
Okay.
It'd be
gave
like,
me
it'd just be like the Pirates of the Caribbean, like Keira Knightley, like where she'd like has to like get all the guns like off of her body before like they go into like the like Shanghai area.
well,
That would work.
Yeah.
I'll say this, Raquel, you just gave me an idea for an upcoming shirt for our storefront here, the 24 Down Mafia.
Yes. I was hoping we'd get a shirt out of this.
No,
Um,
like
The Raquel shirt, it's like just full of guns. And like rainbows and hearts and guns.
That's
all
awesome.
right. Anyway,
That would be perfect.
All right, so I want to say props to Rizzo
like
for
I'm gonna
Rizzo, let me just say, like,
no.
also,
Let me just
hold on.
Hold on.
Stop it.
Stop.
Stop it now.
Okay, I won. Dang it. Rizzo is such an amazing person where like Hat and Rizzo, when ex-boyfriend left everything on my doorstep, like it was humiliating and just horrible. I remember taking literally everything, like the comforter, the shoes, the books, the whatever, everything that like literally was left on my doorstep because we had broken up, and I brought it over to 24 Down and to Hat and Rizzo's room, and I was like, here, what do you want? And Rizzo like took the shoes, and I was like, yes. And it was just this amazing moment where I was like, finally those shoes are gonna walk into like such amazing things. And you know what, Tom Rizzo, he's just, I don't know, he's just good. He's just
like
a good person.
He's like, that's
No.
where I was going to interrupt. Yeah. Like where he's a person where I, going back into, like 24 Down, where like I wish that I walked down the end of the hall like a little bit more, where I say like Hat, like I didn't even know that you came in like a year after. I just assumed you were there the whole time because I never walked down that end of the hallway. Where like Tom Rizzo is a person that I wish that I knew before, because I think that we would have been great friends. And
Sure.
like just hearing that story from Raquel, even in that time, like I was like, oh, I love that guy, and like because I always hated the other guy.
It's
Like from the get-go, like I was like, yo, he's like awful, like you should break up with him.
and all of
Trying
I
to
mean,
plant that seed like for years, it felt like. And yeah, but anyway, just like that individual story of like the stuff being divvied up, I was like, oh yeah, like
Mhm.
That's awesome. Well, his last question here is for you, Michael, and I think you'll enjoy this one too. He says, if I remember correctly, we went to see your band play one time, and I don't know why I'm remembering the band Tool was involved some way, but do you still play music, which you kind of answered earlier? And here's his question to that. He wants you just to name your top 3 favorite bands.
oh man.
well, it's just all Tool. Like
My
it
top
doesn't.
3 favorite bands would
Perfect
be
circle.
Tool, A Perfect Circle, and then probably
Tool again.
Rage.
again
No, Bethel
No.
Music and Hillsong.
and Hillsong and
And
I love
Jesus
No.
Culture.
it's the dichotomy of my music life.
I
It's
love
like,
the contrast.
no,
Yeah.
I've really grown to love Rush. So like it would probably be Tool, A Perfect Circle, and
That's
Rush.
fair. That makes sense.
Yeah, especially for like the bass stuff. Like,
No,
oh my gosh,
it
Geddy Lee is
just-
just so
just-
amazing.
The music is just beautiful. I mean, Toll is honestly like, as much as I
Oh,
don't
man, that
love
new
music,
album.
it's like it honestly, like just the musical. I mean, without the words and the lyrics and everything. I mean, just the music in general is just gorgeous. And they can make such a sound. So
Yeah, with just like
I
a
can
3-person
understand
band,
it.
really, like musically, it's amazing what they do. Even the last album that they just came out with, which is their pretty much their last album they were gonna do, Fear Not, it's like it's amazing,
Yeah.
musically. So it's a masterpiece.
Awesome. I think Wolfie's got one
Yeah.
last question. So
So this is the last question. It's a good one. It comes kind of from somebody that you might not have been expecting. So
Connie Meyer, please.
no, fuck that guy.
no, sorry, not invited. No, this question comes from an Aaron Murray from Indiana. So
Oh,
I still connect with her on Instagram from time to time. So she wants to know, what is your first memory of each other?
of us, like
Yes.
Raquel.
Yeah. Yep. So
Okay.
Michael, your first memory of Raquel. Raquel, your first memory of Michael.
Perfect. Let's get this out of the way. My first memory is that we met each other at
McLeod.
Dr. McLeod's house. He had like an open house, like kind of thing for freshmen to come and like meet each other. And it was like on campus, like one of those like weird, like on campus houses, like on Coldstream Road, like outside of like campus, but just like south of like St. Abel's, Stables.
Yeah.
But we say St. Abel's so that we could go there. Like he lived there in that area, and like we went.
Yeah.
That's where I remember that we met. And Aaron was like, "Hey, I know you," and I was like, "Whoa, that's super weird." Like that's like freshman year is like when you're meeting a whole bunch of people, it's weird to begin with. But like for someone to like call you out and be like, "I know who you are," and you're like, "I don't know you at all." And I was on campus for like 2 weeks because of soccer, and she was living next door with her aunt and uncle, which was next door to my parents, and that's how she like knew who I was, and that's how actually Raquel and I met. But other than that, we probably would have never really met like if it wasn't for that. If it wasn't for Aaron Murray.
Do you remember that, Raquel?
She remembers it different. It's same kind of story, but
Aaron
different.
Murray. I mean, honestly, she's just I mean, honestly, it makes me emotional just thinking about her and just how amazing that she could possibly be. I mean, honestly, Wolfie, she walked through the same thing that you did, losing her dad, and she's just amazing. But anyway, no, so I remember meeting Michael at is it Solomon's porch, the back porch?
The back porch, yeah.
Yeah, the ramp that would now view the new academic building. So
Right.
we met there, and you were there, Wolfie and Matt Baldwin, and we were there. And I remember Aaron saying, hey, I know you. And that's where Michael and I we disagreed, because I remember her and him having this conversation before school started.
I mean, maybe they had it twice. Who knows?
Yes. And so I remember that happening there at the back porch. And that's why all those Facebook memes and everything, and they're like, where would you marry your husband now when you first met him? And I'm like, the back porch, because that's where we met. No, it's not Solomon's porch. What is it called?
It's just the back porch. Solomon's porch was over by Damiani.
Yes. Okay.
So that's really interesting. I think that was a pivotal moment then for us, because maybe I already knew Michael before that, but I clearly remember meeting you and Matt Baldwin, at least for the first time there.
Yes.
All sitting. The back porch had that long ramp with the rails, and we were sitting out on the rails, just like introducing ourselves to each other.
Yes. And you know who else was there? Was it was Allison. She lived in Buongiorno. But anyway, so yes, I remember that specifically. And Aaron and I were walking up, but Aaron and I were not supposed to be roommates. Like, I mean, God is just so good. And that is like, honestly, I feel like the whole thing, and I know that whatever, but he's just, God is so good at the little teeny tiny details where, you doubt, like doubt comes in. And, God is there to just be like, oh, I was there. Oh, I was there. And
I
he
took
like
care of that.
throws in these like, yes, exactly. Like I took care of that. I was in the midst of that. And, when I look back at Valley Forge and when we look back at Valley Forge, like we see that. And, I really feel that like Erin Murray is just like her and Cole her husband is just amazing. And we love him. And our children call her Aunt Erin and Uncle Cole. And, they're part of our family. And,
Right.
and honestly, even when the whole COVID crap happened, like I was trying to figure out for like weeks what the heck happened, like who sent us this package. And here was Aaron and Uncle Cole who had sent it. And they are just such amazing people. And I'm just so grateful for Valley Forge. I mean, and now I'm going to get really even emotional because, not only did I meet, my very best friend, my very first day of school, Erin, but she introduced me to my husband. And, it's just crazy how it goes, and you never expect it. And I didn't see life going these ways, and this way and that way, and but God, he's so new, and he knew exactly what was perfect for us and for our family, and what would uplift each other, and how we would mesh with each other.
Yeah.
And and who would withhold and withstand the trials of my life, and then who would withstand and hold through the trials of his life. And just meshing together and building this relationship. And we both struggle, and we both fall, and we fall short of meeting the expectations of each other. And but that's where the grace of God comes in. And I know I'm speaking to the choir, but it's honest to God. It's like, it's so amazing when it comes to, this is what my expectation is, but then this is what God's expectation is. And just fulfilling that and making sure that we are living life for that. So, Erin Murray is just, anyway, she brings tears in general. I can't even, she's my bestest, and she knows me further than anybody. I mean, maybe even deeper than Michael does. I don't know.
So Hat I don't think knows Erin. I mean, she came back and visited a few times.
Yeah, no, I know Erin. I mean,
okay,
not well, but I know Erin.
Right. But I mean, she went freshman year and then left, but I know she would 100% be totally a part of 24 Down in the family.
Are you kidding?
For sure.
She is.
She would have fit.
Erin is like the most. We can't even. Because I'll just go on forever.
That's a whole other podcast, just talking about Erin.
Honestly,
I know. Like, all we did was like talk about ourselves, and it's like there's so many like silly stories, like from like
hot
even,
tubbing. Like, remember when we?
It's only part one. This is only part one.
Yep.
Right? No, like and like the getting in trouble for like yelling at like girls' soccer games and stuff like that. It's like. Yeah, I started that and I left, and then like everybody else took it to a whole nother level, and then I still got in trouble for it. There's a whole like all the things that like Michael got started and got in trouble for, and like That's like a whole nother thing. Yeah. It's like
And,
Well,
I mean, it's just awesome.
security guard drive-throughs and stuff like that.
Well, that's what we were saying, and I mean,
I
I
didn't
know
even
it's.
remember that dude's name till like somebody
I
brought
mean,
him up
it's
recently.
like legit late. It's almost 1 o'clock.
Steve Anderson,
But
Yeah.
hung out with him all the time. Yeah.
like you guys used to drive around with him, and it was.
Was he like
Insane.
legit or like what was his deal? Like I still don't even know.
I don't know.
He's like an enigma to me.
It's a tale for another day
I don't even know if he's real.
or night, I guess.
On to Josh Hatmaker.
well, I
Yes, but
When she closes out.
yeah, no, I want to say like Wolfie was saying, like this is part one. Like I've told everybody, there's potential for part 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it takes. So, I'm sure when this is all said and done, you guys are laying down tonight. You're gonna be like, oh man, like I wish I would have said this, or I wish I would have thought of this, But there's the opportunity where we're gonna be able to do that down the road. Let me do a few really quick plugs. When I'm done with that, I'm gonna say something to each one of you. I'm gonna give Wolfie a chance to say something to each one of you guys, and then I'm gonna let you guys close it out. So, real quick plugs. Twitter, if you're on Twitter, you want to follow us on Twitter, basically just kind of post the podcast when they are uploaded. Our Twitter handle is 24 Down Podcast. If you want to email us for any reason, 24downpodcast@gmail.com. We've got Facebook pages. There's 2 of them. There's the 24 Down Podcast page, which is public. You can like it and follow any updates with that. There's a private Facebook group as well. If you are not a part of that, reach out to somebody that within the 24 Down family. We will get you in there. It's private just so that we're not trying to be exclusive, but we only want people within the 24 Down family, and that family extends. So just know that like you can get into that as well. All these podcasts now are up on YouTube, so you can check those out on YouTube as well. And then the last thing is the Store Frontier page. Is where you can get all the 24 Down related shirts. A lot of them have been going up this week. I'm going to keep pumping those out. My goal is to have at least one shirt for everybody to be able to say, hey, I want the shirt. I want to wear the shirt. So when they wear it, they can think of all these things and it can relate, all these good memories. So check that out. storefrontier.com/24down. With that, like I said, I'm gonna just real quick say a few little quick things, let Wolfie say some stuff, and then you guys can close us out. First thing I want to say to Michael is sometime in the future, I don't know when, and we'll have to figure this out, but challenge accepted. We will go to Valley Forge during when classes are going on during a chapel, and we will have fake cards that we're going to scan in, and like we're going to legit see who can scan and scram like in the most crazy way. Like challenge accepted. So we'll just pretend we're students and we'll pretend we're going to scan in, and then like whoever can most obnoxiously leave without getting caught wins.
I love it. Yes.
So then the other thing I want to say, like to Raquel. So I completely forgot about this until like as this podcast was going on, and it made me think of it. This whole time we're all just sitting here, we're all just talking, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but like one of my favorite constant memories of Valley Forge, not just 24 Down in general, Valley Forge was quite often like we would message each other, whether it was like on AOL Instant Messenger or whatever it was back in the day. And we'd be like, hey, like I need to chat, or hey, I need to talk, or whatever. And remember, we would go sit outside. There was a hallway leading to the cafeteria. I don't remember if the hallway had a name, but there was a bunch of like couches and stuff like that. And I feel like that was like our place to like go meet up and just vent to each other about whatever we were going through or whatever, or just sit and catch up and talk and everything like that. And this whole podcast to me felt very similar to that, where we're just sitting there, we're just talking, we're just like sharing feelings, sharing stories, whatever. And I don't know why like that memory just came to me during this thing. So I wanted to share that with you and whatnot. So that's what I've got for you guys. Wolfie, I'll let you go, and then when you're done, Michael and Raquel, you guys can close this out.
I just love you guys so much. And like I said, Hat and I were talking, just before, and I was just so excited to just see your faces. Like I was like legit just like, that's where I was like, I think I'm going to tear up. Like, I think I'm going to tear up with like Raquel and Michael, like coming on. Like, I think I'm just going to cry when I see their freaking faces. And I feel bad. That's why I'm so thankful for this podcast. Cause like, it's been like, over 10 years since we graduated,
Yeah.
and like, you guys aren't far, and, life happens, but this is where this podcast has been great, that it's kind of rekindled the flames of just like friendship, and like saying like, there's no reason that, if you want to see somebody, you can see them. So, love you guys. I'm going to leave it at that. Really looking forward to see you soon, which we'll figure out. We'll talk about here, and we'll come down there and see you guys. And the floor is yours.
I mean, I'm a mess. I mean, honestly. Silence because of tears. I have so much thankfulness to the 24 Down boys, and now men, and seeing their lives just expand into this glorious stuff. I mean, just all of that. But then you had like just talking about that, and like just our drives, and Wolfie was on plenty of them, but where we're just able to just be ourselves, and just relax and just vent, and see our hearts in all of that. I mean, that is Christianity, and that is Christ. And I love that about 24 Down, and I love that about that we are able to be real. And I want that for the world. I want that so desperately for the body of Christ to just be so pure and so, united in a way that we can just walk through life together in unity, and standing beside each other through the good and the bad and the deeply bad and whatever else it would be. And I'm just so grateful for this time to share our story, but in our life, and our beautiful children, and they pop their heads in and whatnot, but just how glorious it is to just continue to pursue the promises of God. God gave us both promises before we went to Valley Forge, and we continue to pursue them and dive into them even in the hard times. And I believe that for any future Valley Forge 24 Down kids, and anyone else at Valley Forge, and I just know that there is goodness and mercy for them. And yeah, go ahead, and then we'll just end in prayer quick.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know that like the way that everything kind of comes around in like a full circle, I mean, the way that like Raquel and I came together, it was in a time where I really kind of like hated everything and everyone. I was really kind of full of like this rage and angst, against, whatever. And honestly, what really, and it maybe wasn't the thing that like, oh, okay, we're going to get together now, but like a thing that like, that definitely was like, okay, we'll notch that, and that's one point on that side of the scale, if we're doing pros and cons, was like where all the guys in 24 Down like really stepped up to like be there for Raquel when she was going through like a really tough time with like an ex-boyfriend that I hated, to the nth degree. And for me, it was like, okay, like I'm from there, like, okay, those are like, I'm okay with those guys, like we're like, I hated everything, and everyone. And like, I was like, okay, I'm okay with those guys though. So if those guys are on your side, I guess everything's all good, So I don't know. It was really kind of like everything coming full circle, for us, for our beginning of us getting together. So, and yeah, that's where we're at now. So,
And Lord, we just thank you for this amazing podcast that, Josh and, all of the fellow people of 24 Down has just opened up. And we thank you, Lord, that you have opened up a door where people are able to just talk about the freedom that we had at Valley Forge, but then also the freedom that we have, exiting Valley Forge. But, we just thank you, Lord, that you are able to walk through with us from season to season. And we thank you, Lord, that you have brought us together once again. And, glory to you, Lord, where, you are seen so brightly through all of it. And that you obviously are the center of all of it. And, we just glorify you. We bless you, Lord. We thank you, Lord, for all that you have done for us. And, Lord, we just commit every session that we have together to you, Lord, and that we are able to just grow and continue to grow, but then also to just be realistic in our feelings and validations. And Lord, we thank you and we bless you in Jesus' name. Amen.